Yo, what's good, people? Happy Friday. Happy Friday. It's Feedback Friday, which we're always pretty stoked about here. Turn down this hypnotic stuff. You guys been listening to this long enough, right? I can ask you to do pretty much anything now, right? Martin, first! And Dave, it was like a second between the two of you. Man. How you guys doing this morning? Kikashi is here with dancing, celebrating pigs. Wise Slacka, what's up? Welcome in. Happy Friday to you. E Smalls Beats. Welcome back, homie. Everybody that's looking for feedback today, drop links early in public feedback in the Discord public feedback channel. We'll have a special guest join us here shortly. JVST there, welcome in. Dude. Like, Dave, who the hell walks into a coffee shop and steals 6 coffees? Come on. Did he, like, walk into the shop and drink them in front of you? Like, give you the long stare while he's gulping down the scalding hot liquid that's, like, burning his throat? Like, tough guy. Or did he just, like, walk in and grab them and walk out? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Some people. Dave says, music fact of the day this year, for the first time in about 30 years, vinyl outsold CD. It's true. There were like a few dozen CDs sold, I bet, in 2022. You see that Metallica bought, what's it called? I forget the name of it. They're like the largest manufacturer of vinyl. Anyway. Metallica bought them. So now your vinyl is metal. Dr. Crisis, welcome into you. Happy Friday. Jelly Beamer, what's up, Heidi? How you doing? That's a great name, by the way. And Dremia's here. Welcome in, homie. Okay, so a jelly beamer is a jelly bean fueled laser gun used by bunnies in movie theaters to make you not cry during the sad scenes, apparently. This is new information to me. Speaking of games, I'm just catching up with the chat and you guys going off about the new Diablo and stuff. How's the D&D campaign going? How's the crew? We're gonna kill some monster. Speaking of monsters, we're releasing a new monster vocalization pack on Monday. So it's just like posting SoundCloud, writing blog and stuff. I'm like, monster, 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 monster. Okay, Kashi, I am doing well. I hope you're doing well too. Martin says, hey, OhmLab, my feedback track is Dealer's Choice. Ooh, okay. Dub3's here. Welcome in, Dub. How you doing, Kate Kashi has a 1:30 meeting, which I'm assuming is like 10:30 my time, which is in like 10 minutes. And if you're first in line, we can probably make this happen. Dave says, and as usual, I'll give my own from an amateur's viewpoint feedback. Feel free to ignore if you wish. Oh. KV Nada says, CD is that awkward vintage era where vinyl is that actual vintage. literally bought it. They literally just bought the entire thing. They're like, we're Metallica, and we brought this suitcase full of cash, and we would like to buy this vinyl plant now. Keikashi. 2.5 CDs sold, a record high. That should be their tagline, right, Dub? Now your vinyl is metal, right? Oh, man. It sounds like the D&D campaigns are going well over there. That's absolutely great. Ooh, you're starting a 6-month one. Nice. Nice. Happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone. For those who've chosen to celebrate it. Ripboy, it's a command that hasn't been updated in a while. To do this thing was like you could spend some points and say, hey, make this sound, and I would like make that sound. Whatever. Andrimia says, question: for those that know my music, would you consider it to be experimental? Sure. Yeah. Got a splash of the avant-garde. Hey, Cardio Party's here. What's up, Liv? All right, I got caught up with the chat, which means we can dip into some music now. I'm going to send a link to our special guest. We're going to have Imaginate on the show again. Pull up Zoom here. Because we all know that Zoom actually functions the best. Hey, guys. How's it going? You know, it functions the best when already streaming through OBS on Twitch. We'd like to add yet another platform. That's how that works. Two cams. Let's go. Double Chris. Streamception. Yeah, who is the guest? The guest is Imaginate. And we might geek out a little bit and talk about upcoming releases. It's got an album coming out. I want to start doing more of this with people in the community. I know Martin has been dropping some fire lately. There have been other people who have been getting releases out. And I think it'd be cool for all of us to kind of touch base with these people as they're doing these things, you know? Okay, so let's see here. I need... it's already multi. It's fantastic. Great. Set up for success here. All right, so I'm going to move this over to like a little smaller thing here. We can have Danny on the left-hand side. And get our little notepad over here and our Discord. If we can make all this stuff fit. Actually, what we should do. Yeah, something like this. We'll be able to see enough. There we go. We can still see all the important things. All right, cool. Oh, and look who's walking in the door right now. Good timing. All right, we'll see if we can get some audio going here. Just Yo.
Yo.
How are you?
Good. How are you, man?
Good. I should probably like maybe mute my my mic there or something, so you're not hearing two of me. It's good to see you, homie.
Yeah, likewise. I'm kind of getting started right now. I
All good.
just got
Let's
my
see
coffee.
how
I'm still waking
long.
up.
Let's see how
What?
long this delay is.
Oh wait, are you muted? You're muted now
I am.
on Zoom.
Yeah. Let's see how long it takes to get you on Twitch. This is a check one, check two moment. Let's see
All right,
how
you're all
long it
set.
takes. How many seconds of delay are there? This is great music to listen to while figuring out what the delay is. I don't see a reaction from Danny yet. This is great. The anticipation.
So I hear you on the stream,
Oh, you do? Okay, great.
but I don't hear you in Zoom.
Perfect. That's good, right? So you don't have like the double chatter thing happening? Right? Do you prefer me to have live audio in Zoom?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a little bit of a delay.
Okay, cool. So let's do this. We're going to get into our public feedback queue here. We're going to listen to some stuff. Kate Kashi. This isn't delay, this is jet lag. I think Kakashi is the first person up, and he's got to jump into a meeting. So we're just going to jump into this really quick.
Let's do it.
And then we'll catch up with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Hey Kashi.
Yeah, right? Freaking killing it. Oh, these were a couple of stragglers last week. Oh man, Javar's got a new one up here too.
Nice.
All right, so Kakashi, Cake Kashi,
A lot of drops.
revamped his name. This one was a real journey. Had the good old writer's block for a week or so, which I think is nature's sickest joke for a writer. But I know the key is to keep going, and it'll come back. Thankfully, it did, and at a good time. My sister was diagnosed with EDS when she was a teenager, and that implies a slew of mental and physical complications for her, especially as she gets older. Just recently, I was informed that she'll be put on hospice care because her pain medication that she needs regularly requires a nurse to administer. They haven't diagnosed her as terminal, but it's been weighing heavily on me. She's a beautiful person. Went to the lengths of taking physical abuse as a kid, so I didn't have to. She's come back from ODing on heroin, over 5 years clean, worked as an EMT, leads the choir in her church, and has a beautiful family with two little ones. Anyways, this one's close to the heart. Don't let that deter any feedback. No mercy, even for the deep cuts. Kakashi, love you, homie. Let's
Yeah,
listen.
man. Okay.
Um, Dude, I know you got to run into a meeting, but this is some really freaking powerful and awesome stuff to be sharing. And just big love to you and your sister. I think that like the discordant feel of this whole thing is really in line with like all of the feelings wrapped up in losing someone like this, like especially your sister. Um, that said, I think that there needs to be more like emotional swelling, like the outcry from the backing vocals, just like, falling down on your knees and screaming up at the heavens, like, ah, like some, a little bit more presence from them and in general, and more thunder in the drums, a bit more oomph and um, a little more ring in the toms, right? A little more definition on the snare, just a little more. Um, it's a shitty hand being dealt, so rage a little bit, you know. Danny, what'd you think?
Yeah, I feel the same way. I think there's a lot of nice harmonies and nice songwriting in there. Like there's a story, which is really refreshing, right? So I like that. And I think all of that can be totally amplified by some some more dynamic between the emotions, like between the sections, like when you have your verses and your intros and all that. And those are generally pretty stripped back moments. But then when you get to a chorus, that's kind of your opportunity to really open up. And that opening up can be in the performance just as much as it can be in the production or like the whole mix. And so while like mixed things are relatively easy to fix, right? So, the drums definitely could get a little bit more power, and have like your hi-hats and like overheads panned a little bit more. We'll give it more like depth. I think that'll help your drums feel bigger. Some saturation, things like that. Like there's just little mixed things you can do, but I think again, really like the performance that you're using for specific points is going to go a long way. And at a certain point, a mix can't solve some of those things. So I would definitely like just really, really feel out these emotions, man, and like put them in there because that's really heavy story, right? So, you know, um, yeah, you want to really go for that if that's what you're going for, right? It's kind of cool, and this is a huge compliment before than it is anything. I really felt this was a nice like uh this had a really nice Radiohead vibe to it, and I mean that
Yeah,
in like the most sincerest compliment because like I think it's a really hard thing to do in a genuine way, and I felt that was like something that kind of brought me to it. So yeah, I mean, totally go in on the emotions on this one, and you're going to be just fine. Great tune. I like the songwriting a lot, like the story a lot, and like not necessarily the story itself. I'm really sorry to hear about your situation, but I like the storytelling aspect of it. So a lot.
yeah, yeah. Me too. It's very real and it's very raw, which follows your normal modus operandi. But I think that your vulnerability in this one is kind of the key to unlocking um like all of the true like raging power kind of lurking underneath, which I don't know. I think it can be kind of hard to just kind of bare your soul completely, but what better freaking time to do it, really, honestly.
Yeah. Well, like the funny thing is, right, is like, man, we're gonna start off. I want to start off with a banger of a comment right now. Like, I don't know if it's gonna touch people in a funny way, but the funny thing is like, especially in this day and age, like we're so focused on making the song than like actually even what it is that we're trying to convey in our message. That like what we're trying to convey in the message completely takes a back seat to like just making like
Right.
a song, and then like up to the standard of which we see people be making around us or people are making around us, and it's like you know it can be kind of a folly sometimes, in my opinion. So I don't know if that's what's happening here. Maybe not. I don't know, but um, I think when you really tap into that, like, okay, this is this is a soul bearing and sort of like emotional release moment, right? Like making something, regardless of what it is like priority number one in every situation.
Word.
And just doing it for the sake of like making a song or like doing a thing, you know.
Word. Yeah, I saw the comment about doing a second pass on the vocals, which I think is probably a good call. Drums, I think, are good. They just have to be driven a bit more, I think. Saturate, saturate. I think the spreading of the hats and stuff is a good idea. Kind of build up a bigger stage spread for the drums in general. But really good stuff. And also, welcome into the folks that joined while we were listening.
Yeah.
Who was it? Holty Kenowin, welcome in. Saf, welcome in. Bako, welcome back. Happy Friday to you. And someone subbed too. Thank you for the sub. I'm not sure who it was at this point. I kind of lost track of it. But if you are subbed to the channel, don't forget to grab all your free samples from the Discord. Before we jump into the next one, Danny, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
You want to give a little 2-minute backstory on who the heck you are, what your artist persona is, and what you've been up to?
Well, as you can see, I'm a bedroom artist.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm a sound designer, artist, producer, the usual, you know how it goes, story. Been doing this for about 10 years and just recently professionally for about 3 or 4 years. You might know some of my work. Some of you guys, I've done a lot of sample packs with Black Octopus Sound. We did the Element series, which are a bunch of elemental based sample packs. So water, we have water, paper, air, which recently came out, which is a drum and bass, melodic anthemic drum and bass sample pack. And all the samples are made of air samples in general, all kinds of different wind and air Foley recordings that I captured. And we have earth and some other things as well. I've done some work with Loop Masters, which is cool, and recently done a bunch of work with Slate Digital, which I cannot comment on, but I can say that I've done some work with them. And actually, I have some presets that I've done for Anna 2. So if you have Anna 2, check those out. Some stuff in there. Great collections of sounds in that synth. So yeah, that's pretty much what my work has been for the past couple of years, and I'm now leading up to put out an album that I've been working on for a couple of years, and yeah, it's really exciting stuff. So
it's not just an album.
It's okay. So the album itself is viewed as like a series of episodes in a grander story. And I would say is, if you guys want a genre or want a particular thing, I would say it's in the vein of like progressive, but not progressive rock. It's like progressive electronic, but with certain rock sensibilities. There's a strong cinematic style to it. Yeah, it's kind of an amalgamation of things that I like to listen to and things that I like and instruments that I like to hear. So, pretty straightforward, I suppose. But yeah, it's a pretty personal story to me and my journey through young adulthood and the dynamic nature of it, I suppose, from light to dark and dark to light, and very personal to me. And I'm looking forward to putting it out, and I hope people like it as much as I like making it. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled.
It's super freaking badass, you guys. It's super freaking good. So
I'll drop a link for you guys as well. This is my website, and this is where you can check out my work. And very soon here as well, especially if you follow my socials, which are at I Am Imagine It, which is just my website, but with the at it. You can get updates on when the album is coming out. I'm going to be putting out some singles leading up to the album too. That'll be over the span of about 5 or 6 months. So yeah, we're just doing a big rollout before, and yeah, it's gonna be awesome. So I'm stoked.
It is so good, you guys. It is so good. I can't describe just how good it is. If you're a fan of prog rock in general, like classic stuff, you'll be blown away. But if you never explored that and you just like the edgy side of like modern electronic stuff, it's gonna blow your freaking pants off. So wear 2 pairs of pants when you put the album on. That's my advice.
Preferably some big jumpers.
Maybe a diaper.
Did this just become a Depends commercial?
It could have. It could have. I might have like a new sponsor by the end of this show. JVST Dare, I appreciate you, homie. Very much. Okay, next up is Saf. Saffron was a little late to class today, but he brought a track.
Cool.
He says, this is a little unfinished, but you point some cuts and mixed critiques for this song. Night Jukor. How am I supposed to say this one, Saf? Night Jor. Something like that. I don't know. In a minute, I'll be completely hypnotized and I'll probably pronounce it perfectly. Let's listen.
Night Cooler. All right.
Go, beware! I am the monster from under your bed. Go brush your teeth!
Dude, this is awesome, Saf. The only thing that I would say I would want added maybe to this track is some kind of a thread that could be followed, even if it's something that's like sparsely populated and never actually resolves in any way, like half of a poem or some spoken word with the like you take a couple paragraphs and you chop them up and shuffle them or something so it doesn't quite make sense or something because it's you're hypnotized and stuff gets kind of strange. Also, that little dark kick element in my mind, one of the very first things that I was hearing as I was becoming more hypnotized was like perhaps some feedback swells coming out from some really quick delay buildups. You could resolve them in really cool ways, like some quick little stutters or like a little sample and hold breakdown or um, like it just gets shattered into dust with some bit crusher or something like that. I think there's some really cool things that you could probably do there that would also kind of help push and carry this forward in like little chunks. Um, so if you had some kind of weird, playful kind of thing with the sound design, and then you had some kind of dialogue sample or something running along top of it. I'm not sure that it really needs necessarily like a top line of sorts. Um, just something to consider. Other than that, a little bit of EQ work, like there's a little bit of low frequencies in the sides, watch frequencies, high and low in the reverbs and spots that are a little bit busy. Um, really cool palette. Really cool palette. Had a bit of a like an ambient vibe to it. It was cool. I like it. What about you, Danny?
Yeah, it's still ringing in my head, actually. It's really catchy, which is great because it's so minimal, right? Like it's that, what is it, that key or that synth, or I don't know if it's like a harp, maybe like a digital harp that comes in like midway through. It's just playing the chords and all that. Dude, I love that sound.
Mm, yeah,
It's so catchy.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of funny, right? Like totally on the opposite end of what I was saying about the previous tune and telling story. Like obviously this is definitely a very sound designy driven tune, and I really appreciate that, like for what
Mm.
it is. And it's really well like sound design and everything. I like it a lot. Yeah, as far as like mixed stuff, I mean, yeah, like the low ends get a little cloudy,
Hmm.
like 500 and below. That could just be maybe your kick has some stuff, or maybe if you have some reverb on the kick, maybe, or if you have reverb in other places that's taking up low frequencies, that's something you want to check out. I think though, actually something to tie in the rest of it would be hugely powerful. Like you were saying, maybe like something that's sparsely put every so often, throughout the tune. I think that could be, in my mind, like a transitional sound, or like a harmonic, like tonal impact, not like a big like cinematic impact, but like a bell ding sort of, maybe like more sound designy to fit the characteristic of the tune. But yeah, something to like kind of tie in when moments are happening, and like every 8 bars or 16 or whatever is happening, so that like the listener knows and has a cue of when things are happening. um Someone even said like a bass swell or something like that, which is a really cool idea. Yeah, there's some cool stuff you can play with. But I think that since the song has such a flowy nature to it, some sort of like flowing transitional sound, or like flowing thing that comes in and out that weaves through things, thread the needle essentially, like you were saying, would be massively powerful.
Word.
Yeah.
Yeah, having a thread is good. Having a
Yeah.
thread is good. Having a few is even better.
Yeah. You could probably, like, this is a really nice like sonic bed for like, I don't know, maybe two main elements to like interplay, I don't know. That could be kind of cool.
Um, let's vote really quick. Chill or club? Show of hands in the chat. Who wants chill? Who wants club? Martin says it's dealer's choice. We are
I'm
all
saying
collectively
club.
the dealer. Okay, club. One vote, club. Kate Kashi says chill. Another chill from Dave.
All right.
Ooh, a
Chill,
club.
chill club.
Okay, we're tied. Neck and neck. This is hot. Mm-hmm. Chill. Club. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Oh
Uh-huh.
boy.
You guys are gonna make me decide, aren't you? Freaking tying it intentionally here. Banana. Oh, I vote banana.
Okay.
Banana split. Banana split. I see your banana, and I want a freaking banana split, like with the cherry and the whipped cream and the 3 types of sauce, the whole 9 yards. And when was the last time you had a legit banana split? Like seriously, when was the last time you sat down and ate a freaking banana split?
I can't even remember.
Liminal Labyrinth, bonus points for name of the day right there. That's a great handle. Thank you for the biddy. Rochambeau, welcome back. Right, it's been way too long. I can't remember the last time I had a banana split. And who thought of putting the crushed pineapple on the banana split originally? You know what I mean? Like there's some interesting stuff happening. It's a tropical fruit, so I mean it makes sense.
True. Wait, there's crushed pineapple?
Wait. Where do you go to? Oh, right. You grew up in a different place. Like you grew up south of here. 1 mile, like one
Yeah.
road between us, but hundreds of miles.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And a bunch of trees.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what were the 3 toppings on a banana split, generally speaking,
Oh man.
where
Oh,
you
man.
grew up?
This is gonna be the most basic thing ever, right?
Right.
The only banana split that I've ever had was from 31 Flavors,
Okay.
Baskin Robbins.
Okay.
And so that had to have been like a cherry, nuts, and banana.
Okay.
And like, you choose your 3 ice creams
Mm-hmm.
and your 3 ice cream flavors and like, I don't know, chocolate syrup, something like that. Actually whipped cream too, of course. But yeah, it was in my mind cherry, nuts, and banana, of course.
Okay. So here, it was strawberry sauce, chocolate. Wait, sorry.
Oh yeah.
It was-
Yeah, I forgot about that.
It was,
The strawberry sauce.
yeah, chocolate, strawberry sauce, and crushed pineapple. And a lot of people said, I don't want the crushed pineapple, give me caramel instead, which I always thought was also a good option. Like if you're going to take something off and put it on, what do you put
Yeah.
on, right?
That's a good choice.
Mm.
Okay, but the real question now, are we doing pineapple on pizza?
I like pineapple.
Oh boy.
I like pineapple. I'm not going to lie. I will eat pineapple for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner, for dessert. We always have pineapple in the house here, like fresh pineapple. Pineapple's great.
Oh, nice. Oh yeah.
Pineapple's
yeah,
great.
yeah.
And it's one of those rare foods that a lot of people like can't eat a lot of, like it'll wreck the inside of their mouth or whatever, right? So I'm
Mhm.
like, sweet, man, you guys tap out. I'm going to keep eating. Like pineapple is freaking delicious.
That's so good. I used to work at a frozen yogurt shop when I was in high school, and we had like fresh pineapple you could top on it. And dude, I ate like a cup of pineapple every single shift.
Wow,
Loved it so much.
you left retail froyo for music?
I know, worst decision of my life.
That stuff is so expensive. You probably had a decent employee discount.
Yeah, I had that free 95 employee discount,
That free 95. Like boss just left.
something like that.
All right, so we still got a live stream. So we're going to listen to some music here from Martin. He probably had time to send it to me by now. Did you send it or let's see here. Yes, you did.
Yeah, pineapple on pizza. I'm with it, Keikashi. You and me, man.
Let's see here. Where were we in this queue? We're here. And we're going to go here. Oh, and look, there's Martin. There's Martin. You guys want to see what Martin looks like? There's Martin. Everybody go to Martin's Spotify page and click follow. And then first, go to Break My Fall and click listen a few times. Give him some more listens. That's his latest release.
Mm.
And while you're there, take notice that 80,000 listens on Temptation. That's not even a month old. Is that right?
Wow.
Yeah. All right.
Nice, dude. Congrats. I'm gonna check them out.
Right. That's pretty cool. This is different than your normal stuff. I'm assuming probably because it is a collab. But I'm digging the palette that you came up with. It's got a nice vibe. It's got good energy. I feel like at 128, I want to hear a few points in the bass synth that like, there's like a little extra growl and a little extra body and a little extra definition in a few different spots, right? Something that isn't quite synced to the clock, something that's a little bit off kilter, but significant and impactful. 146, that little kind of ghostly synth presence wise, with the filtered ARP, it's barely audible in a few spots. It's a nice little addition at that level. It's like a little nuanced thing, but this is a club track, and I feel like after that moment where we get into this section, I think moving some stuff around in the mix would feel kind of fun. It would get more movement into the track. It would allow you to kind of disclose more of the palette that you're working with, and it would probably give you some ideas of tiny little maneuvers that you could play with those sounds moving forward, just because you're going to hear them a little bit differently, right? So you're going to like recognize a little bit more of their potential. The clap, listening at 233 felt like a little anemic. I'm like missing a letter there, aren't I? It's an A, isn't it? I'm not sure. Yeah, maybe I did spell it right. Siri didn't tell me to correct it. And freaking banana splits and spelling bees today. That's what we're doing. Danny, what did you think of this one?
Yeah, I really liked a lot of the arrangement choices. I thought that the clap that didn't follow the usual 2 and 4 arrangement was really choice. I thought that was really interesting. But yeah, the clap itself could be a little bit, since it's so sparse like that, I think it could be a little bit more of a forward element. So like, yeah, anemic is a great way to explain it. It's definitely a placeholder, it seems. Okay, that's cool. So I would put, yeah, maybe like a clap with a rim, maybe some reverb on that, just to like give it some forward motion and a little bit more energy, obviously. Overall, like the arrangement's really cool. Like all the sounds work well together. This is a really nice vibe. I have a lot of friends that like make this kind of stuff, and like I wouldn't say like I produce this, so I wouldn't say like I'm massively knowledgeable of like the production aspect of things, but from like the mix itself and based on what I've heard, it sounds like it is a bit static in the arrangement and the mix itself, right? Or excuse me, the production and the mix. Like the arrangement's fine, but like the production can use some more elements to bring in new sections, a little bit more impact on certain moments, right? Like your drops and even going into like breakdowns and like, bridges and things like that. Something to make those moments a little bit more, to make those moments pop more would be the best way to say it. And then the choruses themselves, like they don't feel like they have enough dynamic contrasted with them. So what I mean by that is like the chorus doesn't come in as heavy as it sound, or excuse me, the drop. I'm thinking of a songwriter. Except right now, the drop itself doesn't come in maybe as much as it should, and I think that's not because the drop itself is lacking certain things. I think it's more so that what it's being contextualized with is not giving it that space to explode even more.
Word.
And you can give it that context by like obviously mix things, filtering out certain things, removing frequencies, but not just removing frequencies, removing notes also.
Yeah, leave the butter notes.
Yeah,
that's how you get the So two
Yeah.
things, kind of like we've got this little thread happening behind the scenes, Martin, right? Two things that I would mention as far as change over time, and also answering the question about the clap, snare side clap, or just body clap. I say both. And the other thing is that the synths themselves can evolve over time. And if they do, it intrinsically brings more interest and more more opportunities for the listener to latch on to that thing. right? And they may even come back and revisit it several different times as they realize just how much it has changed over time. But if you start to kind of look at the landscape of an arrangement as a map, right, instead of a structure, right, with like these rigid boundaries, what you do is you're done with that part. You finish the arrangement. That's all good. Now you start to look at it more of like a topographical map or a heat map, right? Like a heat map can show you like the emotional surges and the low points and the high points, right? The topographical kind of perspective can give you like your dynamics, like your peaks and your valleys, all that kind of stuff. But anyway, you can also kind of look at this through the lens of just frequency and timbre. And when you start a lead sound at one point and it ends at an entirely different point, you leave at the end of the track, even if it's only 2.5 minutes long, feeling as if you had just experienced some kind of a journey, because there was so much change over time. You didn't even have the same palette that you started with. So getting back to the clap question, use both, right? Because one of them will be an accent for the other, right? Same thing with the hats. You can kind of vary a little bit of timbre between some of these. There's like these tiny little nuance things that can just kind of change over time.
Yeah, like one of those claps, like the last clap going into like the next 4 bars or 8 bars, right? However structured you have at the end. One of those claps that goes into the next 4 or 8 should have maybe like a bunch of reverb on it. That is like a moment of anchoring for the listener, right? They're like, oh, okay, that's happening, and that means that something else is coming soon. Like it's getting dynamic, not just in what happened before, but also what's about to happen coming. And that's something that carries over from like very electronic music, like clubby music like this, over like to songwriter stuff, right? Like, you know, that's a theme that is all encompassing. Yeah, like I would say one good example is House I On and On, House I On and On, whatever, by Orbital is a really good example of like very few elements happening over a long period of time, but it's still engaging because of what's happening over that period of time with the instruments that they're given. Yeah. Or like that are given in that song. So if you haven't heard that song, like that might be a good tune to check out. Classic, like progressive house trancey kind of tune. Yeah, Orbital's dope,
Yeah,
right?
Orbital is dope. Orbital just puts out new stuff. Everybody gets happy.
That's right.
That's right.
So yeah, check like minimal instruments you can do a lot with, just, you know, it's the context that they're in. But yeah, this is a great tune. I love this kind of vibe so much. Like these clubby, dark, deep synthy.
Yeah,
tunes.
absolutely.
Yeah, these are sick.
Jay, VST Dare, you are up, and I'm just scrolling really quick just to see where we are here. Oh, this is not bad. 1, 2, 6. Oh, dude, we so got this. Feel free to drop more links, you guys. First take on UK Garage.
Ooh.
Love first takes.
And I love UK Garage.
Yeah, well, it's hard not to. And look at these tapes. Look at these tapes. It's like someone's looking in my glove box right now. All right, here we go.
All right.
This one's called Bad Girl.
You're just like the bad girl, in me she's the best. Easy with the sad girl, she'll put you to the test. Now she's just the mad girl, laying on your chest. Let her go out with it, go up and down with it. You're just like the bad girl, in me she's the best. Easy with the sad girl, she'll put you to the test. Now she's just the mad girl, laying on your chest. Let her go out with it, go up and down with it. I get addicted to the wrong things. You come along searching
Dude, this is so fun. This is great. This is like a really good vibe. And this is your first stab at UK Garage, so it feels a little left of center, which I love. I don't like the same old, same old. So this is just so, I don't know, it's fresh. It's like a funky, fresh thing. The LUFs need to come down, I think. It doesn't need to be driven quite as much as it is because I really want to turn it up myself. So more dynamic range. You've got a couple of moments where the valley floor is pretty deep there, like pretty, there's the LUFs. So just find a slightly lower median average of loudness, right? And when you reduce that compression on the whole mix, I think everything starts to feel just a little bit easier too. And I would try adding some wiggles. And by that, I just mean like movement through modulation assignments, right? Adding a vibrato, vibration, like more vibrato that is dynamic itself, right? So you're leaning into a deeper, faster tremolo or vibrato on things. You put a sound effect out there or a transition and wiggle that stuff. You know what I mean? Like make those tails kind of sizzle on the way out. Anything that'll make people do a little bit more of this. And sometimes you just kind of have to make your sounds just do a little bit of that to accomplish that. So that's one of the first things that I would point out. The other thing is EQ, just a little bit more EQ work. There's some highs that can be soothed just a bit all the way around that will make it a little bit more listenable and make people a bit more apt to turn the stuff up. What else have I noticed in there? There were a couple of things compression-wise that I noticed, not to get too nitpicky, but something that you can take a look at. The knee of the compressor is just as important as the attack, and if you've got something really punctuated, make sure that you're giving it enough attack time for that transient to go through, but keep your knee short so it's nice and responsive when it does spawn. Danny, what did you think?
Yeah, as far as UK Garage goes, that's certainly UK Garage. I love it. It's one of my favorite genres and styles of music. Very tastefully done. Well done. Yeah, honestly, I was I was so into the groove that I like wasn't even really paying attention to like, my producer hat wasn't really on, thinking like, oh, how could this be better or whatever. But I guess listening back, yeah, I think maybe again, ear candies. Like it's so important for me to emphasize, and I think for it's so important to recognize how powerful ear candies can be, right? Like little bell impacts and little tonal moments and things like that. At a certain point, I suppose I might sound like, oh, well, that's just a taste thing, right? But I promise, like whatever ear candy that you put in that's specific to like your song, like timbre wise and like melodic wise, like it'll go a long way in like having more emotional impact as well as like production impact, right? So that's super important. Yeah, I'm thinking back right now. Maybe a little bit more spice on the chords, on the super saw kind of sound. That might be kind of cool. And someone actually mentioned in here the rotator cabinet in Logic, which is a huge shout out to that plugin because it's incredible. So if you can find like, because I think organ sounds especially fit in well in this kind of style of music. So like if you can find like a rotator cabinet plugin or like a library and then like a sample library, if you can like put that in with the chords as like a pad or something like that, that might like really give this an even more so organic feel, which by the way, UK Garage and like Future Garage massively, in my opinion, relies on organic qualities for like its quality, right?
Yes.
Organic elements will just completely take this thing to a whole new space, right? But I mean, the way it is right now is awesome.
It's so fun.
Well,
yeah,
it's a fun tune. Yeah,
it is. It's lots of fun. It's got really good energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love seeing comments like that. Rest assured, this is a great community for feedback. First song I submitted was something I made with very rough mixing and zero mastering. The feedback is always kind and helpful. We'll hear the vision and support you fully. Yeah, word. Well said. You are welcome, Dare. Next up
Yeah.
is E Smalls Beats. Hey, and a BeatStars link. How about that? Wait a minute. If I can find my right app here.
By the way, I don't know if you guys can hear the Maverick and all the guys from Top Gun are flying their jets overhead, so hopefully it's not too loud.
Word. These things happen. All right, so this one's from E Smalls, and it's called Juice World Let Her Leave remix.
Chewing me, small.
All right, this is good. It's a really solid piece. It's a good acapella to build around. And it's a pretty solid vibe all the way around. Love the cool sound palette that you built for it. The dreamy synths, I think, could have more presence. Like the elements that you brought can have a little bit more, a little bit, a little bit more presence in general. So don't feel like your stuff isn't like stacking up to the production quality of the other stuff or whatever. Just get it up a little bit more, right? Because it's a good sound. I would probably use a combination of some saturation and compression to bring just a little bit more detail of those synths up to the surface. So when they are heard in the mix, you're hearing a little bit more of the actual body of them rather than kind of the essence of them, which is kind of what's happening right now. I really like the low end. Your 808 is fun. I like the slides. Really fun remix ideas. I think that you can lean into them a bit more and deviate from your main stopping points. So for instance, the repeats or the delays on the vocals, right? It's very rhythmic, it's very predictable. A simple twist of a knob that is tethered to the rate of that delay or that repeat, right? Like wind that up here and there. Maybe even do a little slowdown on one of them. Just playing with a knob here and there is probably going to go a long way. So you've got a lot of really good ideas and a lot of stuff being delivered really well. I would say just push the limits of those little moments a little bit more. It's hip hop, it's forgiving, and it's fun, right? So the worst that could possibly happen is you hear it and you're like, all right, I'm not going to twist the knob as much next time. Do another take. But that fun really translates, obviously. Some more filter play in general, just tiny little filter plays, not like these big, long, drawn out, like 8-bar filter sweeps or anything like that. Just tiny little twists on things, whether it be a drum fill or whether it be a little synth embellishment near a transition or something. It can be right in the middle of a phrase, just for interest's sake. Don't overdo any one trick, so there are a few things that kind of repeat. So anytime you reprise one of those remix maneuvers, alter it a little bit, right? Because the people that are tuning in will appreciate it. And I like where your music is with the vocals, but your synths specifically could be highlighted. It's the big thing. Danny, what you thinking, sir?
Yeah, I was just reading the comments right now, and I think he was asking about the 808 and kick relationship. I don't know if that was answered or not. I was kind of zoning out thinking about the tune in my head again.
I liked them. I like the low
yeah,
end.
I think they're great. I mean, like obviously this style is super dependent on that relationship. So I think you've got like honestly, you've got 80% of the battle like sorted out, which is great. So I would move on from that. As far as like the rest of the tune, like it's like that hyper subtle hyper hip hop rap kind of vibe, which is cool, and it goes along with the artist, like Juice WRLD, right? So I mean, it's really tastefully done for what the style is. I think the synths could probably pop out a little bit more, especially like the chord stuff. They sound a little buried, and I don't know if that's because you have them pulled down in volume or if they're EQ'd. It sounds like they're a little EQ'd, like you have maybe a bit of a higher end roll off, maybe a bit of cut. I'm gonna say between like 1K and like 4K, maybe 1K to 3K. It sounds like it's dipped a little bit, which is taken away from the presence, like the main harmonic content. So like for those who might not be aware, and for you as well, E-Small, is like many instruments like harmonic and melodic exist between like 700 maybe at the lowest to like maybe a little bit higher up to like I don't know 3K 5K maybe, right? But like most of your melodic content is going to be like 1K, right? Like if you take a bandpass, right, and you cut highs and lows like this, right, and then you get 1K just isolated out, you'll hear just how much of your mix exists in that space, right? So like you want to be able to make space for those instruments, of course, but you want to prioritize what your melodic and harmonic instruments are in this mix, for example, right? So like your chords, like those synths, not maybe necessarily the effect synth, the kind of RP one, but like the pad one, right? The chordal one, that one might want to take a little bit more forefront than maybe everything else, right? So I would think about that. And then maybe the kick and the 808 actually, maybe they're just like a touch too loud and overtaking the vocal, just a touch. Like I was kind of 50-50 between like, okay, cool, yeah, this fits, but then, maybe the vocal doesn't sit as well, maybe, and that vocal might not sit as well because maybe it's either overcompressed or like there's too much high end and you're trying to compensate perhaps for like its lack of presence by boosting the high end. I know I'm like spitting out so much jargon right now. It's like, please, if you have any questions, let me know. But like getting that kick in vocal relationship like just right is super important. And you want to try to do that without like too much processing. So before anything, I would like play with the leveling of those two, and then apply subtle amounts of like saturation or effects, like EQ compression, to get them to sit and play better. So, but yeah, I mean, it's great. Like it's just really minor details, honestly.
Word. Yeah. And eSmalls, there's when looking at an EQ, like if you're going to be honest with yourself, every single track in your mix is running through a bandpass. Like it's got some highs and some lows removed if you're doing things right. Some of them might look like this, some of them might look like this, right? Some of them might look like this. But yeah, things kind of tend to operate within a certain bandwidth. And when you can actually put a boundary around them, it kind of helps, not just the mix, right? But also it helps with the focus for the listener, right? It helps kind of provide perspective and focus for them. Yeah, you bet. I hope it all resonates, dude.
Yeah.
Samsung's here. Samsung orange ringtone. You're up. Happy Friday to you. This one's called Price is Okay. Oh, for those of you not in the United States, there's a show called The Price is Right. I'm sure you probably know at this point. It's 2023. Oh, this is just so great. This is amazing. Oh, this run. Oh, major flaw. Dude, Samsung. Okay, so the first thing you have to do is make this longer. That was great. You got us like right into the middle of this big five and then you cut it off. I don't even know if you're in the room right now, Samsung, but it's really great to hear you again. And this is really fantastic. And it's a lot of fun. Like, I really just want to go fire up the Nintendo after work and play this game. Like, I want to run around and spin a wheel and, I don't know, knock it over if I don't win or something, you know? You are here. Excellent. Samsung, we love you, homie. And this was super fun. Like, this was super, super fun. Danny, do you have thoughts on this one?
Yeah, man. So like, the story of this and the mix and no. Yeah, this was great. This is awesome. I mean, unlike an actual like music thing, the syncopation, right? The syncopation is so playful towards the end, and those runs are so awesome and precise.
Oh, man.
There was a real bounce to this. Yeah. Rochambeau The bounce on the drums though, that was great. Yeah, yeah. The bounce is awesome. That's hilarious. But awesome and impressive at the same time.
Bako nails it with this comment in the chat saying, I want to be sick home from school with a bowl of Lipton noodle, technically, but not really soup, and play this
Oh
game.
my god.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, doesn't that just conjure the memory? Like, instantly, those tiny little, like, straight noodles and the, like, 12 dried parsley flakes that somehow make it into every single bowl.
When I was in middle school, I think like 7th grade, I was like probably 13 at the time. Like I loved staying home from school so much that I would like fake being sick. And that's a comment, like those like ramen noodles in particular, and like Campbell's soup just brings back all those memories. Like I stayed home from school so much that, man, I don't know if this is not a flex at all, but it was like they had to like send a truancy officer to my house and take me to school.
They're like, just bring the soup with you, kid.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, you've missed so much school that if you miss any more, like you're gonna be in a lot of, and you have to repeat the grade, and like it's just not a good look for the school, right? But yeah, there's a personal story.
Oh man.
When I was 13.
Yo, something good just walked in the door.
Yeah.
I mean, that's his name, Something Good. Welcome in, Something Good.
Oh, something good.
Oh man.
Yeah, good times. Oh my god.
Yeah, Martin is always making great music, no matter what kind it is. I would absolutely agree with that. Chat here. Bolt Action Music, thank you so much for the follow. Happy Friday. And Samsung, hi to you too.
Every sick day home from school. Price is right. That's right. Oh, the daytime game shows were so epic.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Although I'll tell you what, there was also the nighttime stuff. Like, okay, so I grew up in an era where my TV was like tiny, and it was a black and white screen, had a metal hanger, right, like in for the antenna, right, had a UHF dial and a VHF dial, if that gives you kind of the sense, right? Okay, so at night I would stay up and I would watch Morton Downey Jr. Anybody ever heard of him? Like anyone that's not as old as me heard of him? This dude would smoke like a pack and a half of Marlboros per episode, and he was like horribly insightful. Like before there was Jerry Springer and all that there was this, right? And it was like nighttime talk show. Daytime stuff that I would tune into if I was missing school. Didn't have cable, so it was like Perry Mason, Daytime Love Boat, Little House on the Prairie. Like it was so bad. It was so bad. I didn't have cable, right? So like the highlight really honestly would be something like a bowl of freaking cup of noodle from Lipton or something.
Oh, classic.
Yeah. I would like if adults weren't around, I would just spend the time outside.
And I think it's like my senior year of high school. In my senior year of high school, when I discovered Logic and I got my first laptop, I stayed home from school for like a week straight to learn how to use Logic. And it was just like ramen noodles and Logic was the week for me.
Hey, now that's a good reason. That's a good thing.
Yeah. It was awesome. Yeah.
Nice.
Good times.
Yeah, probably much more beneficial to you in the long run than my skipping to go play outside and doing God knows what out in the woods with people I probably shouldn't have been with,
Well, certainly better than skipping enough school to stay home and eat ramen and play RuneScape so much that they drag you back to school with a truancy officer. So.
Oh man, yeah, I can't even imagine what would have happened to me if DAWs existed back then for me.
Oh man, it'd be over.
It would have been over. Yeah, because I lost hours like splicing tape and stuff I lost hours doing that stuff when I was young. Yeah.
Dude.
All right, let's listen to the next thing going on. It was all infomercials and Price is Right, says Bako, and soaps.
And there was like the Gem TV one also.
Gem TV.
Yeah, it was like they sold like rings and things.
Like Home Shopping Network kind of.
Yeah, but it was like specifically for, or maybe I'm just crazy, but there's like a channel that was dedicated to like middle-aged women selling selling diamonds and emeralds like 24 hours or like maybe like during the daytime soap opera hours.
The Gem
Yeah.
Show on the Home Shopping Network. You got people to back you up on this one.
Oh yeah, cool. All right, all right. I wasn't just completely off
Oh,
my rocker.
and Paul. Okay, so Paul is older than me. Full disclosure. So he remembers this, but also brings up Tom Snyder. Boom, right there.
Oh,
The Tomorrow Show with him was like Morton Downey Jr. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. In fact,
wow.
when I saw um, Robert Downey Jr. in something for the first time, my young brain was like, dude is obviously related to Morton Downey Jr. because they're both Downey Jr.'s.
Oh, that's exactly what I thought just now.
See, it's good.
I was
It's
like,
good. It's
wait.
good to be like genuine and vulnerable like this, right? Because obviously it's the first name that you're a junior of, right? But when you have like the last name followed by junior, like, oh, that's the last name, right?
That's right.
Yeah, yeah, it's good. It's
The
freaking
Downey part
hilarious.
is easy
Yeah, exactly. But
to get
my
sucked
kid
into. Yeah.
mind, when I saw that, right, when I saw him for the first time, I'm like, and this was back like 21 Jump Street era, right? So he's like super young. Um, I'm like, oh yeah, of course he's gonna be messed up because just look at his dad, right? Totally not even in the same zip code of people, but that was my little kid brain at the time processing all
Yeah.
that. That was hilarious. All right, so Jax is up next, and this is actually Dr. Crisis in the chat. One's called Nothing. This is some cool art, by the way. That's dope. I like that.
Just how we do it where I'm from. I just ordered me another truck. That little bitty watch ain't one thing. I can box a bitch up for a nut. That little bitty watch ain't one thing. That little bitty watch cost name. That little bitty watch cost me name. I can box a bitch up for a nut. That little bitty watch cost name. That's Johnny AP playing cost me nothing. Some tickets when I talk about the plane. She got my DR shirt, but they had nothing. She start by put 2 carrots in her left brain. Don't talk me and now model. Fuck a top model. Tuesday taco, Wednesday combo. Orange push the auto, not a Silverado. Wish I ain't hit the lotto. Hit cash on my Toronto. I can boss a bitch up for a nut. That little bitty watch it one in. That little bitty watch cost name. That little bitty watch caught me name. I can boss a bitch up for a name. That little bitty watch caught name. Breaking back, cracking down Sandra. Emilio Pucci pajamas. Hey, I just put some diamonds in her butt. And I seen it shining when she nut. Load a jet with good pounds of mud. I can't tell my blanket cause it's busted. Shoot him in his face if you don't trust him. She just ate Conway. Big shades on, I just met her tongue and it's fire, young. Yeah, talk to me, bitch. Hell till it, yeah. I don't drink beer. Yeah, me, yeah. Supply the tea. That little bitty watch cost nothing. That's Johnny AP playing cost me nothing. Get some tickets when I talk about the plane. She got my DR shirt, cause it had nothing.
Yeah, there's some good stuff in here. I really like the stopping point that you arrived at for the distortion on this. Just in general, it feels good. It's got a nice texture right out the gate. In future productions, a little bit more pitch variation in the vocal delivery would be awesome. Even if it's just like one note going up just like 2 steps every like 3 lines or something like that. It can give a certain kind of um it can give a little extra kind of rhythm for people to tune into, right? And it affects like the emotional dynamics of it, right? It's a little bit more playful, right? If you're going up in pitch periodically, it's a little bit darker if you're going down, right? So you can kind of affect mood and aesthetic through this. And this is a super vibey track, right? You've got a lot of aesthetic built into it. So if this is part of your ethos moving forward, I would tell you to lean into that and try to do little things to um, kind of exploit all of that. The other thing is that in this track, just some subtle pitched backing vocal doubling would be really great in places. And what I mean by that is just like copy the entire vocal track down, and then increase, like transpose the pitch up on that track a couple steps, right? Make it harmonic. So do what's right for your track. And then start chopping away and find a couple of spots for it to be, providing this brighter, more melodic kind of accent to a moment. You're going to also just barely offset the timing. It's going to be just a hair after the delivery of the original lyrics. So it's not going to be like a beat off or anything, just a slight movement. And it's going to create more width. You're going to offset this thing from the original vocal by panning it to the side. It's going to be brought down in volume. You could even increase the reverb on it just a little bit, right? So all of these things take away a little bit of definition and presence from it so that it remains supportive for the main vocal. Nice scratch, not mice scratch. That's like essentially worthy of a trip to the doctor. But nice scratches. Subtle, more of them. Don't overplay, just more. The one at 131 specifically, like I heard the tiny little ones in there, just like the little whoosh. But the one at 131 actually had a little bit of play in it. So a couple more of those, somewhere where they're more noticeable. So somewhere where the vocals are not popping off in that moment. Just to give the DJ a little love. Watch low frequencies in the sides. There were a couple of times where sides had sounds with low frequencies in them, and I feel like it would be a cleaner mix without that. And also just make sure that you EQ your reverb tightly. So directly after a reverb, put an EQ on it, take out the lows, take out some of the highs. It's good stuff, Jax. It's good stuff. All right, let's see what the chat is saying and what Danny has to say about this one.
Yeah. I really can't think of anything. I mean, you kind of nailed a lot of it. It does feel like every element is it feels a little the mix itself, excuse me, the mix itself sounds a little claustrophobic. And I don't know if that's due to too many things going on at once or that there isn't something taking the forefront besides the kick, which of course, like this style of music is like totally dependent on the kick, and the 808 and the vocal also. But yeah, it feels a little claustrophobic to me. And then if you give more volume separation between elements, maybe a little less compression, it might feel a little less in the box, I suppose. Yeah, I mean, I can't think of anything else. I think that's about it. I think you have a lot of cool elements. Everything fits nicely. Someone did mention the snare, and I think the snare could use a little bit more character to have it stick out more. I know it's like, again, the style of music is totally reliant on the kick and the vocal, but not only will maybe a more forward snare give the track a little bit more like unique flavor, but also too, it might add to that dynamic that I'm talking about right now. But that's about it, really. I think just give more separation with your elements, less compression, and more focus on the primary elements. So yeah, cool tune, man.
Good comment here in the chat from Real Alien Space Bats. Josh says, this wants to be bumped in my car stereo with the windows down, going 10 miles per hour downtown and making weird gestures at pedestrians. So that's a compliment. Like, that's a big up from Josh. KV and Ada? Am I getting this one right? Is asking, anyone have good recommendations for headphones that have a solid bass response but are still pretty flat?
I think what we're wearing right now, Chris.
Biodynamics, yeah. I was just going to say, it's
Yeah.
a really solid choice. They are incredibly dependable. The price point is fine. Like, it hasn't changed in freaking years, which I'm really surprised by. I've had several pairs over the years, and they trustworthy. They become trustworthy because you get to know they're so incredibly freaking consistent. Of all of the
Yeah.
headphones that I've had over the years, there have only been a few that don't actually kind of waver over time. Like this specific pair hasn't changed in years. Like it hasn't lost or gained any. Like it is so flipping consistent. So it's the one that I wear on the live streams because I know it. Like I have a baseline standard to work off of. So.
I used to
Yeah,
use
DD770s, close back. Yep.
I've had what the Soul headphones back in like 2013. Do you remember those, Chris?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I had a pair of Souls, the Audio Technicas, what is it, the M50Xs, I think. I had a pair of Skull Candies like over the head, like when I first started. And obviously I would say that like the Souls and then definitely the Audio Technicas were like the most specific for production kind of headphones, but I really do believe that they completely do not compare to the Beyerdynamics. What we have, I think there's the 990s, right? The DT 990 Pros. Like there was a noticeable change in mixes for me when I started using these headphones.
Yeah.
Like a massive difference, and it's because like you can hear so much depth in the headphones, and they're the bass itself is not like overpowering, and it's not like too weak either. Like it doesn't sound like a headphone, I guess is the best way I can explain it.
Right. Yeah. No, that's true. It's
yeah.
true. It's not adding a certain type of character, which I really appreciate. There's a lot of coloration that happens, generally speaking.
But it's also really important to learn your headphones.
Oh
too.
yeah.
Like, I mean, you could easily mix on a pair of Skull Candies or like, I mean, what are the AirPods, whatever. You could totally mix on those. It's just like knowing how they sound, right? And then mixing your music around that, right? So, but yeah, Caving Ada, definitely you gotta listen to music with it for sure. Yeah, like on a daily basis for the past like 3 years, and not to sound like not to make it sound like a deterrence or anything like that, but for the past 3 years, I have done nothing but sit with these on and constantly listen to like music, as well as like hearing individual sounds in context.
Yeah.
So like that amount of exposure to audio through these headphones is going to give you that like broken ear, right? So like definitely listen to music and learn what you're on. So
yeah, you hear a deviation immediately after sitting with the same pair of cans like year after year. Absolutely.
That's right.
And yeah, 770s for reference. Absolutely. You get the Pro and you get the extra frequency responsiveness, and it's good.
Yeah.
It's the way to go. KB Data, you're up. And this one's called Over Again. Hope we're getting the name right. Respect that damn gazelle. This is good. A couple things EQ related. First, it is a little thick, like as a general profile, it's a little thick down low, so I think the low end can be tightened up a little bit. It doesn't need to be so boomy. The bass can come down a little bit, sure, but also we can kind of skinny up the low end, just track by track, go through and just kind of ease the low end out. You don't need a really like tight EQ like this, right? Keep it soft, maybe down around a 12 dB per octave curve. And there's a lot of sounds in this mix, right? That can be cut all the way up here, and you can lose a whole bunch of frequency down here. And now everything in that lower register in the mix is going to cut through the mix a little bit easier. And this is also going to mean that you're going to hear more low end immediately in your mix. As soon as you start taking away low end out of a whole bunch of different elements, the low end itself will pop. So everything is going to have to be adjusted loudness wise after this, which is okay because this is a little bit loud. The mix is a little bit loud. I would aim for a solid 16, neg 16 LUFS on this one. It's what the standard is for streaming platforms. And for this type of music, it would give you plenty of dynamic range back in your music that right now you're kind of missing. And this type of music should have a great deal of dynamic range. It shouldn't really be mixed at like at an electronic music standard. So the loudness doesn't have to be there. Okay, so after you go through track by track, roll off the low end that you can. I think the acoustic guitar can come down a little bit, especially when soloed. It can also be moved over to one side. Right now, it's very spread across the entire stereo spectrum. So it's competing with all of the sounds all of the time, right? So, and more importantly, there's other guitars. There's 2 acoustic guitar lines, I understand. It does make it a little bit busy at times. So you could look and see exactly what is necessary. It might be a little bit more interesting to have greater separation between those two, or to combine them, like to just consolidate all of that. Might be worth A/B testing it, right? Testing one way and the other way to see which one you like best. And just in general, just greater separation of elements is always a great way to gain focus and clarity. It makes the sounds really pop because there's less competition for each one of them. Between, the DAW and your ears. And then the other EQ comment is the highs as well. The lows are going to help give you the clarity, and EQing the highs, taking some of the brightness out of some of those instruments is going to make it a little bit more listenable, right? So the low end management will help the clarity and the definition and all of that, and the punch, and the high end management will help make it more listenable long term. And let's see. Yes. Less is more. Less is more. Danny, what do you think of this one?
Yeah, I like this one a lot. I like the blend between, like the hip hop trap vibe and then punk pop or pop punk stuff. I think the hip hop and like trap stuff is, sorry, I'm trying to blank right now. It's pretty self-explanatory, I think, that style, right? So like that's cool, and you got it down. You got the hi-hats and the drums and all that, and everything blends nicely, which is really cool from like an arrangement perspective. As far as like the pop punk stuff, I've grown up on that stuff, and I've listened to a lot of it, and have written some of my own stuff in that vein. And I think in this tune, it's really well done. I think the acoustic guitar is really tasteful. It goes with the style. I think maybe like the guitars can come up a little bit more. The drums feel like they want a little bit more power, especially like when you listen to that style of music, right? Like that early 2000s, kind of like late 2000s, early 2010s style. There's a lot of that power in the snare, especially. Crashes, are like a really important part of that style in the drums. So you kind of want to follow like that mode of thinking, right? So, and you're gonna put vocals in too, which is cool. So yeah, I think honestly, some of the stuff might not even be useful until you put vocals in, because you'll shape everything around that, right? But definitely like focus on the drums and the guitars when you go into that final mix session. And also too, when you add vocals, you'll probably find yourself removing certain elements, or like maybe adding certain things to fit the style. So yeah, just keep all that stuff in mind. because pop punk is like such a specific kind of sound, really. And of course, you want to articulate it well, but you want to have that power too. So yeah, I mean, I feel like I can keep rambling about this, but there's really no point, right? Like, you know, you sound like you know what you're doing, and I think you'll shape everything when you get to the end of it. So yeah, that's all I can really say.
Word. Solid track.
Or want to say. Yeah, solid track for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good stuff, KB Nita. Bako, you are up. You are welcome. I hope it all vibes with you. Helps you make it even better.
Yeah.
Bako, this is a super awesome piece of art right here. It's like incredibly bright, and I love the rainbows. It's got a ton of stuff happening. Like, it's super eye-catching, for what it's worth. This one's called Waiting for Forever. Okay. This is a pretty good one. This is oh wait, why did I write the All right. So I want some filter play in the intro. Nothing really busy, but let me explain why. It's got this kind of held back feeling to it, and I want my feelings about it to be kind of justified as the listener. I want to know that this is intentional. It kind of goes on for a bit, and it doesn't come out of it in a way that a lot of songs in the current music landscape do. So it might be kind of cool just to put a little bit of variation in the cutoff position there. And also just to play with some resonance too. Like to move stuff around, like to play with resonance when cutoff is not being played with is a really fun thing, right? Because you can really find some interesting ways to accent. So if you've got two different independent LFOs offset from one another and they're playing with these two parameters in a slightly subtle way, you're going to get this kind of swirling, kind of playful movement in there that I think might be feeling kind of good. At 105, I feel like, one, it's kind of busy in this moment. So when the ducking is there and it's fairly uniform, it makes it kind of hard to find a focal point in the music. It's almost like the stuff is being diffused and confused at the same time. And it's really a byproduct of a couple of different things. One, the frequencies, the clarity has been obfuscated, right, by this automation. And the second is that there are so many things happening at the same time, yet they're all kind of tangled in the same uniform movement. So it's harder to discern one from the next. So finding greater separation here is the goal, right, in general with the busy mix. So one, offset the parameters with that ducking across all of the tracks. So they're ducking at slightly different depths and rates, and like maybe the attack is a little bit softer on one and the depth is a little bit bigger on the other, which means your ratio, right? The other thing that you can do is play with volume automation to make choices of which elements are more audible than others from one moment to the next in the mix, instead of having more omnipresent sounds, like more of a cacophony, if you will, where there's kind of this kind of set level of a whole bunch of different sounds. It isn't as cooperative as guys taking turns in a room, right? Each one having a chance to get a little bit of time in the limelight. And it also, like I've said in previous feedback today, it also kind of helps provide focus for the listener. Like, oh, this is what you want me really focusing on right now. You're right. That's a pretty badass thing. I'm glad I was able to focus on that. Thank you very much, right? So the more awesome little bits that you have in your palette, the more you have to kind of pay attention to that type of thing. The rank and order of things. At 228, when you've got a few different ARPs going off at the same time, I would pick one of the ARPs and drop it an octave. You've got a few different things that's kind of running in the same kind of zip code, so to speak, right? They're all kind of in a similar spot frequency-wise. It makes it harder, again, to discern from one another. You can even play the octave jump game, where in one part of the song, this ARP might be down one octave, and another part of the song in a different section, it might be up one octave, right? You might even offset two different characters, right? Maybe one is up and one is down, and you invert those the next time around, or something like that. You can get clever with it and get playful with it, and I think that it'll feel less unified, right? More separated. And then lastly, the bass seems a little muffled, not understated. I feel like you're kind of going for understated, but it's coming across as a little bit muffled. So I would saturate it a little bit and then watch the dB per octave curve on your EQ and filter. So in other words, if you have your high end and it's got a cutoff like this, just loosen it up a little bit. Loosen it up a little bit. Let it breathe up there. Danny, what you got?
Yeah, I think you guys have both kind of figured it out. Like the biggest thing that stood out for me was that there isn't space for like a single thing to take the forefront really at a given time. And that's one of the pillars, I think, of making really engaging stuff, is having like a jazz arrangement, right? Think of a jazz arrangement or like a jazz solo, right? Like in a jazz solo, there's before the solo, right? Think about this. Everything is playing the main piece, right? But then it goes into the solo, like the arrangement goes into the solo. And now every instrument except that which is being soloed or is soloing is playing like supporting elements, right? Like, you know, the chords or whatever, right? And little fills here and there to give context to the solo. Anyway, the point in that is think about how like each instrument is going to take the forefront at given times, and that will give them the boosting that you want to give them, right? Like that'll give them the attention, like you're saying, to stand out at specific points. And like in the intro, maybe that's your pads, or like in the breakdown where like your drums are stripped away or whatever, you could have your pads the forefront there, maybe a little, synth line or whatever. So yeah, think about like which instruments you want taking the forefront in your arrangement, and that'll go a long way in having it feel, I guess, like it has forward motion. And then as far as from a mix perspective, definitely that bass could use a little bit more presence and a little bit more thickness. And the snare itself feels like it should and wants to come up, especially for like this sort of synth wavy style. I mean, that's how the music totally has like big snares and those big 80 snares and all that. And it sounds like this snare in particular really wants to be like popping, right? And just right in front, that big gated snare sound, right? So I would focus on those things, giving certain instruments the space they need for the arrangement, giving a little bit more attention to the bass to make it sound like a main anchoring element, and then give your snare a big boost.
Bako with the comment in the chat, I always forget that people other than me listen to my music. Yeah, right. And when
Yeah.
you hear what people's thoughts are after listening to the music, sometimes it can be a little jarring because you haven't actually even come close to thinking about it from that perspective or through that lens or whatever. But I think it's great. I think you take it all in, see what sticks.
Hey Baco, quick question. Do you come at all from playing in like concert bands or like orchestral bands in like middle school or high school or in college? Just curious. I don't know if that's
Bako, that's
much.
awesome. I love that you always soak up the.
That's cool. No, okay, got it. Yeah, I was just curious. I come from that background, and okay, cool. Producing for
1.5 years.
I love the way you said that. 1.5.
This is great. I know. I love music
Yeah.
minds.
That's cool. Yeah, right.
Very good
Right
at
on.
learning.
Yeah, I was just kind of curious. I come from that background, and I found myself doing a similar thing where like all instruments kind of playing the same thing because of that background. Anyway, just curious. I didn't know if it was like a common thing or not.
Yeah. Whole T Kenowin. I'm not sure if I'm saying this correctly, so apologies if I'm butchering your name here. Is saying relatable, but not at the same time because no one listens to my music but me. Well, we're all about to listen to it right now. This one's called Keep Me, so let's get it.
Let's do it.
Ayo, Parrish, this shit high, boy.
Take it easy, like
Fuck you. Go talk to your other
I
hoes.
had a blast time, it's a good night, it was just a fun time. I love you too, you love me too. I love you too, let me tell you, you're not like the rest. Can't you fucking see? You can keep what's in my chest, cause I know you got the key to my motherfucking heart. Just don't break it all apart. You're not like the rest, can't you fucking see? You can keep what's in my chest, cause I know you got the key to my motherfucking heart. Just don't break it all apart. Baby, I don't know what the problem is, but it get worse and worse. Why you tryna complicate? I told you we could fix this, I just wanted you to stay. When you get mad, I try to put a smile on your face. Tryna tell you far away. Just know that I'm always gonna stay. Don't ever try to run away. I just don't want you to make the wrong mistake. I just want you to keep a secret with me. Don't you ever leave. I just want you to keep a promise with me. Baby, will you keep my heart forever in your life? My love forever in your heart. I told you that I love you, girl, just know that I'll admit it. I told you in the paragraph, just know that I ain't finished. I'll tell you this shit in person. the key to my motherfucking heart. Just don't break it all apart. You're not like the rest. Can't you fucking see? You can keep what's in my chest. Cause I know you got the key to my motherfucking heart. Just don't break it all apart.
Ayo, Paris, this shit high, boy.
Take it easy, Lexo.
All right, I'm going to stop typing and just like actually speak this because it's probably easier to get through. I really like the distant vocal in that filter, really good vibe, and it creates a really nice ambience. The atmosphere in the back. I think that you can EQ the highs out a little bit, like just put a shelf on there, or a really low velocity high end cut, just so it isn't grabbing as much attention from the vocals, right? It's a second vocal, it's fairly audible, it's pretty high, so it's cutting through the mix really quickly, and your main vocal isn't flying all over the place pitch-wise or anything, right? It's somewhat monotone, so you want to make sure that there isn't this other thing above it grabbing the attention. So I'd curve that. Good lyrics, by the way. I'm split on the palette in the sense that I really like how stark and bare it is because I can hear the lyrics and there's a story here, and I really appreciate that. And then there's another part of me that's like, I do kind of want one more instrument in there, even if it's just like a little sample chop that gets looped and flipped a couple of times, but I can't tell you what that element is, you know what I mean? So there might be a little bit of crate digging to do on this one, just to see if you can find a little something. Other than that, though, like I like this. There's a little bit of EQ work here and there, but I kind of like the raw, kind of stark nature of this one. What do you think, Danny?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think like this style of music is really dependent on being minimal, though. So, like, I think there could be something else to it to give it a little bit more character. Like the vocals are, great for this style of music. The arrangement follows the style, and like you have all of the necessary ingredients, right? And I really don't think there's much else, considering, like I just said, this is the style of music. It's stripped back and like meant to be raw.
Mm-hmm.
But I think one other element could give it a little bit more character, like something to play with the vocals. So, like, not necessarily like a lead or like a lead guitar or anything that's like super upfront, like an electric guitar or anything like that, but just something else to interplay with the vocals. And that could be like a simple piano or like maybe a little harp melody. I know your chords are kind of played by, I think, a harp, or that's probably an acoustic guitar, but you get what I'm saying, right? Like some sort of other element that is playing with vocals. And I think I'm trying to digest this right now and make it palatable, I suppose. Really taking what you have and adding a little bit more texture to give it a little bit more character will be really, really positive for this. Like, you don't need to do any other musical stuff necessarily, but like a little bit more production stuff, right? Because this style of music is meant to be stripped back. It's meant to be minimal. So how do you make something unique out of that? How do you like use what you have and get the most out of it, right? And one way to do that is by adding like texture or like a little bit more grain on maybe the drums, not like a boom bappy like New York hip hop kind of way, but more so like in a I don't know, using Foley or maybe some white noise. Just a little bit more texture will give this some more character and more ambiance as well too. So
I just, as I was kind of like mentally kind of droning as Danny was talking here, kind of revisiting the track, I realized exactly what I want in this, what the missing elements are. What DAW do you use? The reason I ask is because physical modeling is the answer to this. And the reason is because a stringed instrument made with a physical modeling synth can sound like a real synth. I mean, sound like a real string. And it can also sound totally not like whatever that real stringed instrument actually sounds like in the real world, right? You can take it just a little bit left to center really easily. So here's what I would recommend is a physical modeling synth and add something like, I'm just going to grab something really totally random here really quick and see if we can give you an idea. And let's go for like a plucked instrument, like maybe, I mean, I know Danny already said harp, but maybe something that isn't quite harp, right?
Yeah.
Ooh, or hold on a second. What if we went in a different direction?
Like even a why is it blanking on me right now? Why am I blanking on it? Not a spiccato, but like a plucked viola, maybe.
Ooh, yeah. Something. Okay, so if it's coming from a synth, I guess my point is that you can match the aesthetic very easily, right? Because you can make it airy and dreamy, or you can make it wavy, or whatever you want, right? So I would probably do that. And the other thing that I would mention is a fill, like a couple of fills in this thing, tasteful fills, but put a little compression on it so you can get a little bit more surface texture than the rest of everything else in this track. But a couple of fills would be really nice. Mendez.
Yeah. Pizzicato.
Mhm.
Thanks. I was like, what? We were just talking about pizza too.
I know. Pizza, pizzicato. Pizzicato. I'll take two, please.
I like pizzicato. Yeah, right. With or without pineapple. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the idea of a modeling string though, because like it's just enough organic and just enough synth to not sound
decommissioned. I could fuck if I would listen. Test the G, you come up missing. Smoking pressure in the kitchen. Know some boys, they risk be whisking. Value life, know what you risking. Burning hell shit, I'd rather not. Child's tribulations put me on the spot. On them drugs daily, kinda hard to stop. Smoke the pain away, it seems to never not. Worry about the future, what's beyond the dot. Love what you have, I wish the dead could talk. Selfish questions, instead I just hope it's chalk. Everything's settled, so I bear a cross. I could feel the distance, I fit with the loss. Right or wrong, nice to know I'm living frost. Ice in my veins, cause these women cost. Leave you heartless, go on with the plot. I'ma need a little distance. The fit I'm rocking costs a mission. That your hoe not decommissioned. I could fuck if I would listen. Test the G, you come up missing. Smoking pressure in the kitchen. Know some boys, they risk be whisking. Value life, know what you risking.
Yo, dude, Keita, this is great. There's a few things that I think can help this like reach a higher standard, but I really like the vibe that you've got going here. I like the understated thing in general. For this type of rap. So I want more from the vocals though, some more processing, saturation to give it more definition, and body. Nothing overt, nothing like gritty and distorted, just definition, right? Like running your vocals through a tube, right? It's gonna heat it up, it's gonna give it a little bit more body, it's gonna generate some more harmonics so it kind of stands up on top of everything and can be heard a little bit more easily. A delay in that chain that you can play with here and there. Nothing that's on all the time, but something that you can just twist a knob and get a couple of little echoes during a really good rhyme. You know what I'm saying? Because that's a really great way to accent something without twisting it all up in a weird and obnoxious way, right? Also, a reverb that feels more like you're performing in a room, right? Not this kind of flat profile that's on there right now. I want to hear just like a little bit of slapback in the background from this, because the other elements in the mix, they've got vibe and they've got reverb, they've got filter, and when those things aren't in play for the vocals, they end up sounding fairly separate and kind of flat in comparison. So you want to treat them in a similar way. Hell yes to the lyrics, by the way. There were a whole bunch of really good moments in this. I feel like there's maybe a need for a little bit more energy in how they're being presented, the vocals. So I would definitely recommend a backing layer. You can octave up in a couple of really specific accent spots, right? You don't have to get all weird and auto-tuney or anything. You can stay in your lane still and still pull this off. Also, I want some parallel compression on these drums for some oomph and grit. All that really means is that you're going to send that drum track out to a bus, and on that bus, you're going to put a compressor on it, and you're going to smash that thing to hell. You're going to drive it to hell, and you're going to add back like just a few decibels of that, and it's going to layer into your drums. It's going to feel like you've added a whole nother layer to your drums. It's going to give it a whole bunch of body and grit and oomph, and it's going to feel good. Just don't add too much back. Accent some of these rhymes, homie. Like, there's got to be a way. Some of it can be through delay. Some of it can be through reverb. Some of it can be through volume automation. Some of it can be through adding the backing vocals. But definitely accent some of the rhymes, because it should be what's on display, right? There's some resonance in that pad. Got to EQ that out, because it gets a little annoying at times. Filtered synth can use some modulation on the cutoff so we can hear more of the full range of the instrument. Right now, we've got this static position, right? We've got this one kind of view or idea of what the synth is. But when those vocals aren't popping, what if you just twist the cutoff up? We hear more of it, maybe even put some delays, some reverb, cream that stuff out for a second, bring it back down. Just let us hear a little bit more of it. And Danny, what do you think about this one?
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, I'm reading through the comments right now, and it seems that Kato, let's see, took the beat straight from YouTube. Okay, so yeah, I was kind of curious about that. I was gonna ask whether or not you produced a beat because I want to give you like reasonable advice or like reasonable feedback. Based on what you're doing. So it sounds like you're doing all the rapping and everything and like the vocals, which is dope. And I think Chris is absolutely right on about accenting some of the rhymes. Like what's cool is this beat starts off with a unique vocal style and you have the flow going on, but it kind of I feel like it's subject to losing the listener a little bit later on. And you can keep that same energy by having accents, but you can also do storytelling with the vocals, right? So like the part where you said like it was like money burning a hole in your pocket or something like that, right? That's a moment where like you can do sonic storytelling with your vocals by like, I don't know, including like a burning sound. You don't have to do it with your mouth or anything like that, but like a burning sound effects, right? You can do little things like that that will keep the story progressing and give it a little bit more interest over the course of the entire song. So yeah, I would play with that, and maybe like some backing vocals too. Like if you have a certain vocal that's saying something that's kind of dark or evil, right? Like it's sort of a trope and it's sort of not the most unique thing ever, but it can be really effective. And that is like pitching down that same vocal, like copy pasting that vocal line that you've done, and then pitching it down to make it sound dissonant, right? And like evil. And then you can like pan it and do all these other effects to it. Yeah. Okay. So I haven't been doing a whole lot of ad libs, dude. Homie, if you do ad libs, it'll really take your main vocal to a whole different level, right? Because like you're giving the main vocal this main presence, right? Because it has all these background elements supporting it. So just as much as like the beat production is important, the vocal production is as important, if not more, than the beat itself.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So
definitely.
Yeah, dude, focus on those ad libs for sure, and just get creative with it. Have fun with it.
Yeah, definitely.
But pay attention to the story that you're writing, for sure, and then like add ad libs that are relevant to that to keep it cohesive. So anyway,
yeah, you're not making the beats. Yeah, if you're not making the beats, make sure that everything is about your vocals. That's what I say.
That's right.
Because if you're making beats and not making vocals, then you should be making beats that are really supportive of vocals, right? So if you're just grabbing beats, those are just supportive elements in my mind. You know what I mean? It's really just about whatever you're spitting. Chakra D&B, you are up.
Let's do it.
This one is called Born Sleepy. Dude, Shocker, this one's cool. It's different from the... Oh my goodness. That was jarring. This is different than your norm, and it's a really interesting palette. And the bass is like slightly offsetting, but also pretty freaking cool. It's got your normal smooth profile, but it's also just got this extra layer of like tension in it because of the key. And I'm really digging this valley floor moment right here. I want a little bit more high in the piano though when you do dip into there, because you've got this kind of filtered aesthetic up to this point, and then everything gets dropped, and I feel like maybe the filter should drop too. And then when you're coming back out of this back into full mix, the question is do you filter that again, or like do you go the opposite direction, take the lows out, leave the highs, so now there's true separation between it and the bass? Maybe there's a bunch of reverb with it or something. I don't know. There feels like there's an opportunity for a greater amount of juxtaposition. Maybe it's just me being used to the type of stuff that you're normally serving up, and kind of craving that. I'm not sure. Danny, what do you think? You like some D&B.
Yeah, for sure. It's kind of cool to hear some stuff that I have some experience making myself. But as a purveyor of drum and bass, yeah, I mean, as far as drum and bass goes, like all the elements are there. Excuse me, jeez. I was trying to wrap my head around.
Sorry, Danny, just 1 second.
Yo,
Becky,
yeah.
how the hell are you? We miss you. How was your stream? Welcome in, Raiders.
Hey.
We are in the middle of listening to music created by the community, which we do every single Friday here. So if you want some really stellar feedback when Becky is not demanding all of your attention, come on over and play with us.
That's
right. Everyone who subs gets free sounds. So it's a freaking party over here. And thank you for the follows. Happy Friday to you all. Hey, Bass Fanatic. Good to see you.
My fellow drum and basser.
Yeah, right?
Is in here.
All right, so back to the feedback for Chakra D&B here.
Yeah, for sure. So like all the elements are there. Like you've got this atmospheric bass, and I get the vibe that you're going for. I think that the drums could use a little bit more groove. Like at a certain point, they sound a little bit static. And when you're playing with this sort of minimal dark liquid drum and bass style, and you don't have many elements, giving the elements that you do have in there as much room to play around and not feel static is going to benefit you a lot. So, you know, put some of your kicks off the grid just by a little bit, some of your snares. I would even say layer up your main drum loop, because it kind of sounds like just a singular drum and bass like drum loop. And if you put like a real break over it, like a real kit break over it, or maybe some Foley, it'll give the drums a little bit more flavor and a little bit more difference in drums over time, right? Because you want to not necessarily take up a ton of space, but you want to fill out those drums in such a way where they feel organic and playful, which is a huge staple of drum and bass in the first place. And then as far as like your elements, I think I want to hear that piano a little bit more, because it sounds like it wants to be a main point, even though it does come in at just that point, you know, in the break here, or the valley, I suppose. But yeah, I would put a little bit more emphasis on the piano in certain places, and that big atmosphere, like big bassy atmosphere. God, there's a name for it. It's escaping me right now. But that could use a little bit more EQing, perhaps. Like it's a little boxy in the low mids, and it kind of overtakes the mix, especially with all the reverb on it. So if you fit that in a little bit nicer, and then also have like a nice thicker lower bass supporting that, along with the sub, it might come across a little bit more cohesive and impactful too, considering that is a main element. So but yeah, it feels like overall the tune wants a little bit more chipping away at the frequencies, a little bit more of a mix. So just focus on that mix, and be careful, of course, of things between 250 to 500 hertz and 2K, 5K. But I would focus more so on your low mids.
Word. I have no doubt it's going to end up a banger.
Yeah,
Chakra's a freaking mad genius. This one is from Rapper H2N. Let's see what they've got going on here.
ê, ê, ê. Anh sẽ cố để quên em được sớm thôi. Dòng thời gian rất vội tan thành phai phôi. Người vội đi chắc có nói một điều chi. Nhìn đôi mắt mang sầu bi, quá khứ còn lại điều gì. Anh sẽ cố để quên em được sớm thôi. Dòng thời gian rất vội tan thành phai phôi. Người vội đi chắc có nói một điều chi. Nhìn đôi mắt mang sầu bi, quá khứ còn lại điều gì. Let you and let's go. Em giờ đang bên ai, xóm vừa vững trên vai. Mang tình yêu vào đời ta, xong lại chọn việc rời xa. Đau những vết thương sâu, anh vẫn luôn nguyện cầu. Em hãy quay về đây như là có một phép nhập màu. Sao em không nói chi, người vội vàng bước đi. Đêm sầu hen làm anh dần quen với giọt lệ ướt mi. Không thể quên bao cuộc vui mà ta vẫn hay qua. Em ở đâu, I don't know vì tình tu xa hoa. Baby girl đang gần hơn, sao em nỡ buông tay. Anh còn nghe giọng của em như đang ở đâu đây. Gió đậm môi đang dần trôi như là trái dâu tây. Sao anh vẫn nhớ em, không gian như tối đen. Sao em không nói chi, anh như đang rất suy. Sao anh vẫn nhớ em, không gian như tối đen. Sao em không nói chi, anh như đang rất suy. Anh sẽ cố để quên em được sớm thôi. Dòng thời gian rất vội tan thành phai phôi. Người vội đi chắc có nói một điều chi. Nhìn đôi mắt mang sầu bi, quá khứ còn lại điều gì. Anh sẽ cố để quên em được sớm thôi. Dòng thời gian rất vội tan thành phai phôi. Người vội đi chắc có nói một điều chi. Nhìn đôi mắt mang sầu bi, quá khứ còn lại điều gì.
Yeah, there's some good stuff in here. Good job with the vocals. Oh my goodness. Come on, Spotify. What are you, the radio station? I think the 808 can use some clean overdrive on it. Just like super, super subtle. There's no grit being added here. You may not even add any drive to it whatsoever. DJ Fuko, thank you so much for the follow. And all of the other folks that just followed. What this is going to do is just kind of borrow the circuitry of the plugin and generate some more harmonic presence for you up top. It's going to make it help cut through the mix, and that's really all you need on it. You don't need to do anything else, but it will help it kind of cut through. Also, on the 808, you can roll up some of those subs. You're still going to get the same exact kind of low-end presence. It might feel like there's a little bit more bass. I know that sounds a little weird. When you cut away those frequencies, you might have to turn down the volume of the 808 just a little bit. But it will provide greater clarity and punch for the other elements in your mix. The second backing vocals can come up a touch. Not the main backing vocals, the higher one, but the lower one. It can come up just a touch, so it's a little bit more in line with the main backing vocal channel, the higher pitch one. And I would offset them a bit more in the stereo spectrum personally, just to get a little bit more width and impact from them. Other than that, there was a little bit of EQ stuff here and there. So in future productions, just kind of go through track by track and do a little A-B comparison. So you're going to listen to something in two different ways. You're going to go through each track and listen to the sound in isolation as you're EQing it, removing your low and your high as much as you can get away with those mid-range elements. And then listen to it in context, because it sounds to me like you can tighten up a few of the sounds in the mix. And if you did, everything pops just a little bit more, including the vocals. So, Danny, what do you think?
Yeah, the one thing that distracted me the most in this whole mix was the reverb on the vocals. So like in one of the previous tunes we were listening to that needed reverb, I'd say this is a case where maybe dialing back on that reverb to have the vocals sit better in the overall mix would really benefit the overall mix and the vocal itself too. It sounds like it's meant to be more intimate just because of like the guitars, the melodies, like the overall vibe is more intimate. So having this kind of like pipey reverb, in my opinion, doesn't really fit the overall vibe. So dialing back that reverb or just removing it almost entirely might be really beneficial. And then actually maybe even swapping out that reverb for a delay would be really, really helpful. So yeah, I think that's kind of the only thing that I noticed that that really took me away from, I guess, understanding the context, right? So, and in my opinion, music relies heavily on context. So put those vocals in the same context, the same space, and you'll be well on your way.
Word. And yeah, Mendes, each Friday, most Fridays. Yeah, Roku's right. It's most Fridays, not every Friday, because some Fridays we just don't even have the stream. So, and yeah, just for full clarity, this is rolling up the low end cutoff an additional 15 hertz, not rolling it to 15 hertz, but it's sitting at about 15. I mean, it's sitting at about 30 now. I'd roll it up to like 45-ish. You'll still get plenty of rumble. All right, next up.
Yeah.
Next up is Echo again. Wait, how do we do this? Did I go back in time? Okay, here's what we're going to do. Because we're a little short on time, I'm going to go to the next person that hasn't been heard yet, and we're going to come back and we're going to start doing the folks that have already been. Okay, so we got Quirky up here. Says, damn, a lot of feedback submissions here today. I hope you all are having a great day. Quirky, we are. Speaking for all of us now. This one's called Sunset Urges. Hope you're doing well, homie. This is new stuff that was not on the new album, right? Yeah, quirky. Okay, I've noticed a few things. So I know you haven't really brought anything new since the album dropped, but I would like to point out a couple of things. Your ducking seems better. It's more organic. The clarity on the vocals, your stopping point with the filter position is freaking ace right now. Your synth is completely in key. Like you've completely nailed the last few things that we've ticked you for. This atmosphere that you're playing with is dope in this one. It's cool. It's nice to hear this this moving around. And at 158, the duck in here is getting pretty deep and heady, and it's starting to feel a little bit more uniform again. So if it's not being offset as much as it was in the beginning, then I would definitely go back and touch that. 209. I think this section can be different. I don't know. It felt a little bit weird to me that it was the highs. I mean, that it was the lows that were getting rolled up here. I kind of felt like it'd be interesting to hear it inverted, go from lows to highs, and see what it feels like. Not quite sure about that. Haven't heard it yet, but I kind of feel like maybe it feels better. Anyway, something to play with. 243. I kind of want to call and response secondary synth here in this section. Normally, you come out into your second section, and it's business as usual, same exact players. I would challenge you to add a secondary synth here and to actually respond the first synth, right? Down, 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 do 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 do, down, down, down. Whatever. It doesn't have to be that playful and happy. It's freaking funk. So do something that actually fits, but play with the second synth in there, and I think you would really, really enjoy what you end up with. 307, the snare could use a little bit of heat on it. I think it sounds a little kind of flat. And 307, the clap layer needs saturation. It's a nice clap, but I feel like it needs just a little bit more oomph. It'll help give it a little bit of depth and width. Becky, I love this dancing ghost marshmallow cloud guy. I'm not sure what he is, but I like it. Danny, what do you think of the dancing emojis and the track?
Oh, the dancing emojis are excellent.
Yes.
I mean, what else is there to say? That's awesome. Reminds me of the puffed guy from Ghostbusters, but he's naked.
Who isn't? Wait, are you wearing pants? Oh no, you got up. We saw you weren't. You were wearing pants. So
I slipped them on when you weren't looking, but now they're off again.
oh,
so.
you're like a professional.
Oh yeah.
See, I actually sit in the same place the whole stream because I don't want to get up because I'm not wearing pants. I don't want to like be embarrassed or whatever on camera, but I never even thought about that. Like I could bring a pair of pants into the room with me and have them here.
That's right. Like they have Velcro on the side, right? And you just tear them off under the desk.
Oh yeah, so you've got like the trainers.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, you're getting called into the game.
Yeah, and I've got these super hot short shorts under to show off the soccer buns.
Nice, some sequins.
Exactly.
All right, what do you think about the track?
Yeah, I think it was great. I mean, funk is super reliant on like a few elements, right? So like atmospheric sounds, that classic like 808 cowbell and like rides and all that. And so when you're playing with these specific elements, right, that are dependent for the genre, or the genre depends on those elements, like you want to use them in a way that they don't start to sound static. And it's really easy for that to be the case, right? When you're using so few elements, excuse me. So like your rides could come in a little bit less than they do, and they sound a little less frequent than they are. That would be probably really helpful to the arrangement. It's a super, super small thing, but it will take the arrangement very far. Because after all, like music is sound over time. And so if you can create disparity of sound over time and create a dynamic, you're going to create a more engaging overall piece of work, right? And it doesn't even have to be like massive elements or like big elements. Like it could be little things like I said, the right? So I would say focus on separating when certain things come out and go in. And yeah, I think you'll be set with that, really. The mix is pretty good. There was one point, I think like midway, where the impact really crushed the limiter and the compressor. And so I'd be really careful with that. But yeah, that's all I got, really. I think, this is very specific to what it is, right? Like funk. So like I said, take the elements that you have and give them some more context.
Word. And those emojis.
Yeah, add more emojis, add more of naked puffed man.
Things are escalating. Rokusai, are you operating as HR today? Someone's got to control these people. I have nothing
What
to do
are
with it.
pants? That's great.
I don't know. I haven't worn them for quite a while.
Yeah.
Scruffy Rico. Corky, I put this in a thread because I typed a lot and I talked a lot. So, Scruffy Rico, you're up. See what Rich made this week. There was another thing that he made, but we're not going to tell Roku about it. We're not going to tell him. But for the rest of you, you can go to the community uploads tab and you can check out a new track that Rich made that Roku does not know about. Naked Puff Man. Sounds like a Cypress Hill album.
Naked Puff Man.
Paulie! Big ups on getting the album out, homie. Take care. Always good to have you in the mix, brother. Have a great weekend.
Later, Paulie.
Oh, Roku. Okay, so if Roku is going to be HR for the community, he needs a magic sword. So in other words, if you get out of line, it doesn't go on your record, like you lose a limb or something, maybe? Dopey Main, welcome in. Happy Friday. Let's listen to Richie.
All right.
Scruffy Rico says, something I'm experimenting with when I redo vocals. There's a layer of vocals I forgot to remove in the middle. Something for the radio. Here we go. Turn this up a little bit for you guys.
When it's cold outside, I imagine that you're here on my couch, lovely passion. When it's rain, 10 p.m. and I miss you. I take pics where we kiss, and I'm with you. Those were carefree time, football on backyard, and we ran away like hell. Where's the old tree house? I won't forget this. I'll never stop the clocks forever. Stop the clocks.
Questlove likes it.
When it's cold outside, I imagine that you're here on my couch, lovely passion. When it's cold outside. I imagine
Dude, it's always so good. Every damn time. It's really going to open up nicely, this one. I really like that single ride accent and the little reverse symbol. I think your delays are incredibly well timed and tastefully positioned. I think you could use a few transition effects in this one. I know I haven't said that for a few tracks, but this is one that feels like not just at the point of transition. And I did notice that there were a couple small ones, but also just for general ear candy. And it might be cool just to reverse a couple of the piano notes in a couple of choice spots. Other than that, just don't change anything. Master it. That's what I would say. Danny, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is. I see that they said something I'm experimenting with, want to redo vocals. So I don't know how far in the production you are, but I agree. Like it can open up, and it will open up nicely. I think a little bit more production, maybe some more layers here and there, and then a just solid mix and master. Like you have all the elements there, right? So just adding a little bit more spice to those elements. And it's more of a taste thing. I don't know why. I don't know why I'm like this, but it's a taste thing.
Why do you like this, Danny?
Why do you like this?
Why do you like
it's
this?
a taste thing. Okay, it's just a taste thing. Okay, but you have like an LFO modulated pad in the beginning, and sorry, I can't remember if it happened again, but there was this LFO modulating pad that was coming in and out, and I think if you just dialed back the resonance a little bit on it, I think it might suit the mix a little bit better because like. Okay, this is maybe like totally woo-woo, right? But like, I think resonances on a filter should be focused on, in this kind of case, in the kind of music that you're making, right? So let me elaborate on that. So like, if you're making really bouncy, kind of like vibrant music, then like high resonances on a filter, like we're doing this kind of modulation, is pretty helpful. But on something that's a little bit more stripped back and not in any biased way, like in a taste way, right? Like in a more tastefully done way, like this. Like this is what I'm saying is this is like more of an orchestral cinematic, like tasteful piece of work. And I think if you can dial back on that resonance, it'll have it sound. It'll. Sorry, I'm like figuring out how to say this the best way. It'll sound a little less cartoony is the best way that I could say it, really. Like it'll sound more in the same sphere and arena that your song exists in, right? Like the mood. So not that high resonances sound cartoony and are wrong, but like in this instance, it doesn't serve the overall vibe and the tone of it. So I would dial that back.
All right. This is good.
Yeah.
More genre appropriate.
Exactly.
Becky says.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that.
Let alone high resonances on
I
filters.
get on board with
like
that.
Like LFO filters, like high resonances are kind of like, I don't know, whatever. It's kind of cliche, right? So like if you can dial back the clichéness also, that in my opinion is like a huge plus. So for like interesting music. So
Word. What's for dinner, Becky? What are you cooking while we're keeping you entertained over here? Something good. You're up next. Oh, this is going to be good. I have a feeling.
Oh, I'm such a child. Oh.
I hope it's cake. I hope it's cake. Oh, that's gotta be a mistake. That wasn't right. That didn't sound right. That's kind of fucked up. Anybody else catch that? There at the end? Like, that was messed up, right? You just here. I'm gonna play it. Tell me what's wrong. You guys hear that? Something good. Seriously, like you can't come in here with this and then do this. It just stops. Like at 132, it stopped. You can't. I feel like we've had this conversation before, man. Just like again and again and again with this guy. It's the same freaking thing. He won't listen. Like, can we get a 7.5 minute cue from you? Maybe like a 9-minute cue from you. Something where you just kind of go off for a while and you're like, oops, sorry, same track, my bad. I'll stop now. Yeah, exactly. How dare you end the sound counter 100? Yes. Thank you for tracking that, Keikashi. Seriously, it's just so good. You appreciate the rebellion.
Yeah. Don't let people tell you what to do. If you want to have a 132 song, dude.
Screw that, man. I want a longer song. Just kidding. Get this guy off the screen.
10 seconds. Just make your song 10 seconds for all we care, right? Like, you know.
I have so many albums that are
30 seconds, that's all you need.
That are like all-time favorites, because on the CD they've got like the 32 hidden tracks at the end. You know what I'm talking about? Where you get like these. I'm trying to think of one specifically. I'm trying to remember which album this is. It's got like probably 40 or so different like 15-second to 30-second super high energy jazzy chops, and it's like a rock jam band album. Like that stuff doesn't really have a reason to be there except for diehard fans actually let it get all the way to like track 80 before it starts playing again, and you get rewarded with these really rapid fire ideas. Kind of reminds me of what something good comes in the door with.
30-second songs are the new standard.
Bass fanatic. And Roku, you guys are both liking this one. Yeah, no, dude, something good. It's great. It's great. I'm just poking fun. This is always so good. Everything that you bring is great. Let's see if I can find something to pick apart here. Not in that section. It's not really in this section either. No, it's still that one bit between like 132 and 133 that really bothers me the most. I think everything else is sounding pretty good to me. What do you think, Danny?
Yeah, I mean, I was jamming to that. I honestly didn't even think about any of the production stuff or like, you know, feedbacky things. I mean, if anything, like, yeah, I see that you said working on the timing of the drums. Honestly, I think the drums that bring in like the main jam, that fill, might be your only time to focus on that timing. I think it did feel a little jarring, but it's like the song is jarring in itself, right? Like not in a bad way, but like it's, you know, it's got a lot of syncopation and difference over time. So like that's cool. But I think a fill that gives the listener that anchor to then have this totally open space of groove is really important for like bringing them into it, right? So I think that might be it, really. But yeah, this is super jazzy and it's freeform, which I love. So that's awesome. That's all I really got. So
I dig it.
The name, I wish I had more pee and more poo, but that's just me. But yeah, that was
pee pee poo poo. It's great.
That's right.
It's great. It's really good stuff. Something good. I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, that was cool. That was
the others are gonna
refreshing.
fix more on it, so it's in their hands. Got to keep something annoying for them to tidy up. Yeah. All right, bolt action. I'm loving the avatar here on your profile. That's great. This one's called Better Love. All right, here's what I got for your bolt action. The hat in the right channel can come down a couple decibels. Also use a touch less high end. Don't be afraid to roll off a fair bit, right? It's still going to feel like a hat. If you don't have a way to audition it on different systems or at different levels, keep an eye on a meter the entire time you're working. Right, even when you're just working on individual tracks, when you're working on your entire mix down, just keep a meter open all the time, and you will start to visually correlate a whole bunch of different things. One of them is you can see visual pain points or irritation points, right? So those highest frequencies, if you've got a pretty big peak in there and you can see it, then you know that, okay, I got to get in there and tap that down. So a little less high end there, a little EQ on the kick, touch more mid. It's a tiny bit boxy, touch less sub frequencies. It's a little thick down low. And I think that it's going to touch less of the overall mix if you do those two things. Clap can have a little less high frequency and it can gain a layer. I know it is layered, but I think you can probably get another layer in there. It feels like a good one to have a really wide, chunky clap on. Also, loudness is being achieved through limiting and compression largely right now, and I would use less of that and use more saturation on individual elements instead to help give them a little bit more definition. Hey, Becky, I'm also a little thick down low. Aren't we all? But your emojis are so cute, so just don't change a thing. Would anyone here ever ask Becky to ever change? No, I don't think so. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Heidi, did you just put pants on? Danny, what do you think?
Yeah, I love that French flavor, man. Great tune. I think maybe trying out a different kick would be helpful, or removing some of the boxiness in the one that you already have. It does sound like it's overtaking the full mix. It's a bit too round. I would say is one way to put it. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of it. Like, I don't feel like I should try to come up with things to say other than what I'm really feeling, right? So the kick, try out a different kick if this one seems to not fit very well, and also give the clap a little bit more layering, perhaps a bit more interest, and also fit it a little bit better with the kick. So like one thing that's really common is kicks being louder than like everything else. And this is something that's like across all genres of music, like especially electronic music, like a lot of producers, myself included, right? Like we have a tendency to like want to boost the kick, and then we go back and listen and it's like,
that kick is everywhere.
It's everywhere. Yeah. So you want to give the kick and snare or claps like a little bit more cohesiveness. And the best way you can do that is just by bringing down the kick, really. So, do I need a band? All right. Here, I'm here.
Hey. Hold on a second. Don't get yourself ejected in the last minute of the game. We're almost to the end. Oh.
That's right. Calling up. Yeah, I'm fighting the refs now, I guess.
Oh, man.
So that's cool.
Yeah, I think the Beastie Boys said it best when they said, and now I'd like to ask you how you like to feel the bass in your face in the crowd. If everything is always on full blast, you don't ever have that moment where you get the bass in the face and you're like, whoa, that was big. Everything else was what it was before that moment, but that was big. You gotta hold some stuff back.
That's right. Just only 100 hertz the whole time. Just put a massive filter.
Becky only boosts 20 hertz. It's the only
20 hertz.
It's the only hertz she'll boost. That's what I hear.
Hey, music is subjective, man. Okay.
I don't know. There's probably some kind of genius to it or something that I'm just unaware of.
That's right.
What's that other lyric? That other big one? Butts and a kid.
You guys can probably see the separation in years with what we're referencing.
Bako says, I only do 30 and below at 750 BPM. It's funny. You guys are joking, but earlier in the week, on Monday, it feels like 2 weeks ago now because I've bounced several hundred files this week, but I made nothing but atmospheres for a whole day, basically. So there was a lot of that, of like making basically a non-existent sound of like just these frequencies that are like around like 20 and 40 hertz or whatever, and then saturate and saturate and saturate and saturate. Band pass.
By the way, Chris, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
Stop
Is
interrupting.
the God, all right, I'll just leave,
dude.
okay?
Come on.
Like, it's been 3 hours, Chris. No, this is great. Sorry, and man, totally on topic with what I'm gonna say too. I'm not mad. I hope nobody gets the impression. Is the Kwame Beats one the last one of the day?
We're gonna listen to Rockhound too, because there's a problem with some transients that we're gonna help with. But then that one's gonna be the last one of the day, because I got to boogie into meetings, and
yeah, I'm
probably not gonna put on ants or anything, but I got to get some stuff done. So
okay, yeah, I got to bounce too. Our St. Patrick's Day drinking is about to begin.
If you need to go drink, you can go drink. I mean, Kwame might not forgive you, but I will.
I don't want to burn any bridges right now, so I'll be here for these last two, but I gotta let them know really quick that I'll be here for like another 10-15 minutes.
Yeah, something like that. We'll be
All
done.
right, I'm actually gonna go chug a bunch of whiskey right now. I'm gonna come in here and give the worst advice possible.
Word. Well, Kwame's already holding a grudge, so go fuck it up more.
The standard's already low, so.
Bolt Action, we'd love to talk more too. You should show up in more streams, and we'll keep talking to you, because that's awesome. Yeah, go do what you gotta do, Danny.
All right,
absolutely.
I'll be right back.
And Becky's holding Kwame's grudge. I don't know, like while he runs to the bathroom or something, maybe. Or are you saying you're holding a grudge as well? Are all of you guys gonna gang up on Danny now? And you're holding Kwame. Oh man, this is getting all tender. All right, Kwame, we're gonna listen to you now. Everybody sit down, dim the lights. This one's called Drifting on the Tide, remaster. That nice little filtered impact in the end there. Oh. Man, what are we supposed to do? when Kwame is just this good. Like, he comes in, he does this, it leaves us all in this state, and then he's like, you can just play it again.
He's just so nice.
I know, it's like, we're just gonna sit here in stunned silence for just a moment.
Yeah, just like it's like the sweet, the sweet little grandma that comes in. Oh, sweetie, do you want another one? And you're like, how can you say no?
Poor Becky's trying to eat a nutritious meal over there, and she has to stop and start, like, emoji humping Kwame's music. Freaking hassle. It's like every single Friday. It's like the same thing, you know? Meal isn't cooked yet. Okay, so it's fine. It's fine then. There's like really no problem.
There's
5 minutes
always
left.
space for in between emoji humping.
5 minutes left. That's
The
plenty
music.
of time for emoji humping. Can someone check with HR and see if that's actually an okay thing to be talking about on a Twitch stream that's like open to the general public?
It actually has a second meaning, so it's not what you think it is, Twitch. Okay.
Becky just
Take
sat
that-
herself
take-
down halfway down her staircase and doesn't know why. She's like, this song, I'm just going to sit down right here.
Just makes you feel things.
Oh my goodness. Right? Becky, just know that we're all having the same problems right now. I'm sitting too.
We're all subject to a slow sitting death right now.
Right?
It's just how it is.
All right, Rockhound's up. Let's see what Nick is doing. We've got to help with a transient issue. This was posted a while back, the comment in the chat, so it's long gone by now. So Nicholas, if you're here, remind me again what the transient issue was. Was it in the kick? Because we're going to give it a listen. This is called They Know. It's a shorty.
Shout.
Yeah, that's first question is in relation to what itself or the relationship to the pulsing base. The other is this sampler, is it being synthesized? If it's synthesized, is it being shaped with an LFO or an envelope? No LFO 909 with saturation. What kind of saturation? What's your DAW again? I forget.
I like the kick a lot.
I do as well. I do as well.
I think it's missing just some punch. Like it sounds punchy, and I think I feel like I know what you're going for, Rockhound, like in terms of transient, but I think honestly, one thing that you could do if you're it's not phasing, just okay, so like I mean, I don't really hear any phasing. If there would be any phasing, it wouldn't necessarily be with transients. Transients, it'd be with the low frequencies of the synth and the kick.
I think I think it's a byproduct. I think that what Roku's saying is right. It's like it's a timbre thing. You know, if you go way back to basics, day one of class, right? What's a sound? Right? It's amplitude, loudness. There's pitch, the frequency you can hear. Everything else is timbre. Like the shape of your kick is fine. I think this is a timbre thing.
Yeah. If you want to put more punch on that kick, like without screwing up phase relationships, like try not, like transient phase relationships, like try not to make extra transient through like compression or like
Yeah.
a transient shaper, one thing that I like to do is actually take a really short slice of white noise and layer it over the kick.
Mhm.
And then like just kind of bring it down a little bit so that it fits in the mix better. Like it's kind of a fake way of making a transient, but who cares, right? And in my opinion, it sounds the best because you're not manipulating something that's like already lacking what you're trying to get.
Yeah, very Trent Reznor. Yeah, very less is more. I like it. Yeah, no, I like this one. I like this one, Rockhound. I think you should roll with it, personally.
Yeah, this is dope. Like I could see this at Berghain. This is such a Berghain tune, dude. Like
Yeah, right.
coming from an American, right?
I and I agree with what Roku Sai is saying here. He's like, it's the oddness. I like it. It works well, and that's. I mean, I know I'm weird, right? So you guys got to bear with me all the time. I make weird stuff, but I think the reason why I like weird is because it's different. You are welcome. Hope it works.
One thing you could do too, is I don't know where you're making your kick, but if your kick's in like a synth, man, I guess I'll just say it. I'll just say it. It's not even like super new, I guess, but you could do like really short and fast pitch modulation on the global. And if you're using and if you're in Serum, you have the benefit of shaping that envelope to taste. So try that out too. That's really helpful. But I find that pitch modulation and white noise are like the most effective. Yeah, Baco, like when you make a kick, like you're obviously thinking about pitch modulation and like enveloping and everything, but it's not just like the overall. Like you're creating specific elements of that kick, right? So like a kick is made up of 2, maybe 3 things, depending on what it is, right? You have a transient, you have a body, and then you have maybe some sort of characteristic, right? And so in your synth, you're creating like the click, and then you're creating the body, and then whatever like other characteristic, right? So yeah, when you use that click or that transient envelope, you have the benefit in Serum at least to affect like how dramatic your transient is, how long it rings out for, all that stuff. So yeah, I would play with that. You're subject to frequency phase correlation issues with that. So that's why I recommend the white noise trick, but this can also be really effective too. So yeah, I don't know. It kind of depends too. Like certain styles of music call for that sort of precision over others, but such as this is more of a precise thing. So if you can keep things precise and not subject to wonkiness, then all the better.
Word. Emulating a real world drum at all.
Yeah.
Well, this was fun. Danny, I know you got to go.
I got to go drink, so.
Yeah, you got to go celebrate a holiday.
Yeah, my people.
Someone's got to do
Got to
this.
celebrate my people.
Someone's got to do this. I'm going to be productive and stuff. So you go drink and have one for me.
Yeah, dude, I got you. Just one.
Trouble Giver the First. Make him smaller. Like, no, I will make him bigger. No, make him smaller. No, I will make him bigger. Don't tell me what to do.
Just zoom in directly on like my face. Just
vocoder on the hats for the win. Payco.
Funny how Americans celebrate more than Brits. That is the truth.
Oh.
But hey, it goes crazy out there in Dublin. It goes crazy.
Yeah, it is funny. It is funny.
Yeah.
It's because there's it's just a bunch of alcoholics over here. That's really what it is.
That's right. It's an excuse. It's the same thing as Cinco de Mayo. I mean, actually though, what's funny, I learned recently from a friend of mine from Ireland who he told me that there's more people in Ireland who are not Irish or like have direct Irish descent than those who do. Which is so weird.
Oh man.
It's kind of funny. Yeah, or maybe Celtic is what he meant. But anyway, yeah.
It's funny though that Americans really do kind of glom on to the drinking holidays of other cultures. It's like just invent your own damn drinking holiday.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, as a country, I think that we're a little bit concerned about the alcohol that's consumed. They're like, we probably shouldn't actually have a day dedicated to this because we've already got 4th of July and St. Patty's Day and Thanksgiving, and then there's Christmas and there's New Year's. And
That's right.
shit, I'm drunk all the time.
And then like every holiday has its correlated level of classiness, which is hilarious to me. Like
Oh.
you're all just getting drunk, but you're either getting drunk in a swimsuit or nothing, or getting drunk in like a dress.
Yeah, stay classy, right? Stay
or like a
classy.
suit, yeah.
Or lasagna. You could be wearing lasagna. Sorry, I'm conflating the chat with your comments here now. It must be time to end this stream.
I think we're
Heidi
getting
says today
delirious.
was lasagna day for the last 13 years. Does that mean that for the last 13 years, each Friday, a lasagna was made? Because if so, that's quite some record. Just saying. Who should we raid? We got to raid someone. Who are we going to raid? We got to let Danny go get drunk. We got to go raid someone. Drop all of you off somewhere fun. Maybe they're getting drunk. Let's go find out. Find out together.
Shit face Friday. That's what it is.
Face Friday.
Yeah, I didn't say that other word. You're hearing things, Twitch HR.
Hey, for everyone that has dropped a link in the feedback queue and we did not get to, I appreciate you. Everybody, give a listen to the stuff in the feedback channel and drop some freaking feedback in a comment for those folks. If you want to be heard on Fridays, the best advice I can give is get in early and get it posted. Bring a work in progress so we can make your sounds sound even better. Your songs sound even better when they are released. Payco. No Pants Friday.
No pants and shit. They go together well.
Don't forget, if you followed, you should probably sub. If you sub, you get free sounds. And if you're poor like the rest of the world and you don't want to spend $5 on a sub, make Jeff Bezos do it. Chances are you've probably already got Amazon Prime, and that comes with a free subscription. So make him give half of the money that you pay him every month back to someone else. That's what I say. All right, let's go raid someone. You guys, Indremia is streaming right now.
Oh.
There's only 2 people in there. We're going to go say hi. See what he's doing on the spaceship. I appreciate you guys. Happy Friday. Happy St. Patrick's Day. I'll see you all again on Monday. So stay cool and inspired and make awesome stuff. I'll see you guys on the other side. I appreciate y'all.
Peace.
Peace out.